Hello, everyone. I think we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Chat, confirm that we're live, please.
I think we are.
What's up? How we doing, guys? Good to see you on the first stream on the new channel. Oh, I gotta do some ping gang or some stream gang things. Hold on. 1 second, everyone. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone on the Discord that wants to watch this can. Oh, thank you for the link, Caleb. I just saw that.
What's the delay on this?
I have no idea. Like in
I don't
terms
think
of
there is
timing,
one.
no idea.
It's like, yeah, it's like a couple seconds probably. Okay. We are live for the inaugural episode of the Noise Floor on the new channel. Nice to see everybody here. And we have some things to talk about. Topics. It's been a fun week actually of finding interesting things. We're gonna talk about the HD900 rumors, which I got baited by. Apparently, I'm in the rumors, and I didn't know that.
I think it's very funny that you got baited despite your presence in the rumors.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, and we also have a couple of news and impressions things. I went to a concert last night, which was very cool, and I want to talk about that. And we've heard some things. We also have Caleb here. I think this is have you
First
been
time on stream?
Yeah.
First time on stream.
First time on stream, yeah. So Caleb, for those who are unaware, is one of our probably our cornerstone written reviewer.
He's the best writer on the team.
He's the best writer
by
on the
a
team,
healthy
yeah.
margin.
Yeah.
If you guys don't consume his content, you are missing out on some of the best audio content. Period. Don't know what you're doing. You should be paying attention to everything this man says.
Yeah, so that's all on the audio files, and he's very prolific with his articles, and he also does the shorts on the Headphone Show channel. So he is responsible for a lot of those quick impressions, the review in a minute, the stuff that you might have seen. And he just recently got back from the Shenzhen International Audio Festival. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Shenzhen International Audio Show, 19th edition.
Yeah, so he's going to have some impressions. Interestingly, this was actually a show that Griffin was supposed to go to. But the last minute wasn't able to because of reasons.
Because I'm stupid. Because I'm an idiot American who assumes I can just go wherever I want with no consequence.
Yeah.
You didn't understand the Asian backdoor routes,
No.
Yeah. So, but either way, we have Caleb to give impressions of the show and to talk about that. So, without further ado, let us get started. And as we get going here, I just want to remind folks that this live stream podcast and all the content that we do on this channel and on the Headphone Show is made possible by headphones.com. It is your number one resource to learn about and buy headphones with a ridiculous 365-day return policy. And it makes it so that we can eat, which is lovely. So if you want to support what we do here, if you like this kind of content, check out headphones.com because it makes it all possible. All right. Without further ado, topic number one is...
Let's talk about whatever the hell that HD900 was, because I think we were all pretty confused.
Oh, God. Yeah. It made it...
Various
was at the
levels
top
of baited.
Yeah. It was at the top of Reddit. And that's why that's how I got baited. I got baited into contacting Sennheiser, multiple people at Sennheiser, to be like, "Hey, what is going on here? We've heard nothing. Can you send us one?" Or basically to reach out and see what was going on. And then I started digging a little bit further, and to my surprise and shock horror, I discovered that I am quoted in this rumor as are giving descriptions of the sound of the HD900S. And so I was like, what the hell is going on? And the quote is weird. It's not just me who's quoted. I think they also quoted like Dan Clark and some other people as well.
Yeah, I think they quoted Jude as well.
Yeah. So, and it was like, so the quote was like, oh yeah, that we heard it at the private listening room behind closed doors, and gave impressions of it. And I'm like, I haven't been anywhere. Like the last trade show I went to was Munich. And I've never been to Sennheiser's headquarters, never been to their factory. I wasn't on that trip. you know, when folks went and did that. So I was like, okay, that part is clearly fake. And also the language that was used to describe the impressions was hilariously fake. Like they used me as saying that there was no upper mid roll off or something like that, which I thought was just like, yes, I am one to quibble
Exactly
about
the
upper mids,
terminology you usually
but
use.
you would not describe upper mids as having a roll off. That doesn't make sense. um so yeah, there was a lot of that. Then as part of this rumor, there was also the uh exposition of uh the patents, and some of those diagrams that got shown, which are interesting, but we
Yeah,
also were
and though
aware of
that part is
those.
real.
Yeah, that
That
part's
part
real.
is real and has been around for, I think, at
Over a
least since
year.
earlier
Yeah.
this year, if not a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and we've looked into that stuff before, just because we found it interesting.
Mhm.
So the conclusion there is basically that just because the current round of rumors is fake, at least anything that is quoting me there and other people giving impressions is fake, doesn't mean that the patent is fake, or that that this isn't something that they had considered or had been working on.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think the patent has some interesting information about what they're thinking of for,
Yeah,
a probable eventual successor to the HD800. I don't know that it'll be like the HD900. I feel like because they just updated their naming scheme, they might go for something more like HD860S,
sure.
like a more base extended version of the, you know,
HD860S2.
well, there was no one,
I
but
know. You could just skip the one, go straight to the 2.
yeah, that's how you know it's true hi-fi.
Yeah.
But
But it is hilarious to me that, like, because of I would never have come across this or known about this rumor, if it wasn't for the fact that it had been compiled, right? Because it was apparently propagating on a forum. I forget the name of the forum, but it wasn't in English. And so somebody had then taken that and translated it and compiled those rumors. And that's when I discovered that people are quoting me in a different language on some forum that I have no idea about.
yeah, Alan said it best somewhere on Discord where he said, "This is the last time I trust a Brazilian site regurgitating news from a Chinese site regurgitating news from
Yeah.
AI."
Yeah. So and there was definitely AI involved in this. So there was like this
Oh,
AI
absolutely.
slot
Yeah.
part of the churn of this rumor mill. So thankfully Eric from Sennheiser cleared it up on Headfi. He was like, "Yeah, no, this is news to us," and they said that they had a good chuckle about it. I sincerely apologize to Sennheiser for reaching out about that, because yeah, I was sort of like, what is happening? But hey, when the rumor mill stuff goes to the top of Reddit, it's bound to make waves, and also on other forums as well, clearly. So
Yeah, I guess my question to you guys about this is, have both of you seen? So to be clear, the measurement that is shown in
mhm,
that leak is not a measurement of a headphone that exists. It's basically just the effect of what the
the
bass
driver
tube
change.
in
Yeah,
the patent would do
yeah,
to that headphone. So
Yeah.
it's not a confirmation that that is what an eventual HD800S successor would look like. It's just kind of showing the effect of the technology.
yeah.
So with that said, is that the direction you think that the HD800 should go? Kind of adding more bass extension?
So in my opinion, the technology itself, like when you framed it that way, I think yes, because that is one of the areas that was lacking on the original HD800S, and so that would indicate an improvement. However, it would also necessitate a change to the rest of the response. And I think that's like I don't think you can just do that. You know what I mean? Like that would actually make it quite a bit worse if it was just that. Um, so if if this is a way to kind of get better bass extension, curtail the low mid kind of bloominess, and we have a video coming out that's actually should be some fun to do with that. Uh, if that video gets made, I'm not sure, but we had some fun playing around with blind EQ profiles. But yeah, then it would require some change to the rest of the response. So the whatever's going on with that
Yeah.
dip in the mids would probably need to be removed, and then the treble would need to be smoothened, I imagine.
Now, to be clear, can we bring up the pattern there, just so we're all
Yeah,
chatting about the same thing here?
if possible.
Like pull it up on screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put it on screen. Because
Sure.
my understanding is that you're talking about like on the graph at least, it looks like, oh yeah, you know, cutting down like the upper bass, lower mids, all the way up to like almost 2K, right? But what you're actually saying is that it's like the extension goes further. So really you'd bring the whole thing up to sort of compensate, correct?
Hold on, I'm trying to make sure that chat can see the window here. Okay, so I have the patent on screen. Let me just confirm that you can see that, chat.
I can see it.
Yeah, we could see it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that this is what you were talking about, right, Caleb?
I can see it. Sorry. Oh, there
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
you like
Okay,
the
I can
graph
see
in the
it.
patent
Yeah,
that shows like the whole mid range being lowered, but the bass extension and treble staying the same.
Exactly. So
Okay.
if we,
That is on screen.
yeah, there we go. Right. So yeah, I mean, like basically you'd have to pull up to compensate, right? You'd have to basically pull up the volume, I guess, by 2 to 3 decibels, right? So that you do get that extra bass extension. But then also, your treble becomes 2 to 3 decibels extra, right? So then kind of a problem. But
Well,
I feel like if we're talking about, if this is in the realm of a patent, right? Like as you mentioned earlier, if it's not actually what the final FR is gonna be, taming. There's got to be a lot of ways to tame down that treble, right? So I'm not super concerned about that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I no disagreement here. I mean, yeah, the
There
treble
is
thing
something
looks
about
like an
this.
issue. What's
that-
up?
So this is all. What's cool about this, in my mind, is this kind of change to the low frequency content. Is done in a way where it doesn't cause hits to the acoustic impedance of the overall headphone. Whereas, like, you could create additional bass presence if you wanted to without doing this, just by increasing the stiffness of the air, right?
Yeah, they went about it a much better way than dropping.
They went up. That's what I'm saying. Is doing it this way. That's what's interesting about it. Is this is on the like driver integration level, not on the stiffness of the air level. So you get the same, presumably the same acoustic impedance, low acoustic impedance. Goodness.
I mean, the driver motion will be affected by this, but yeah, it's not changing like the
You're not changing the acoustic impedance of the baffle to do
the volume.
Yeah, the volume. Yeah.
So in other words, we get HD800S soundstage, but bass.
More distinct bass, right? But yeah, again, it requires a change to the rest too.
HD800S has no bass.
So I disagree there. Actually, I find the bass of that headphone on the light side, maybe under like 50 hertz, but for the rest of it, totally fine.
Yeah, I know it's there. It's just when you compare it to an IEM, I mean, it's not even close, right?
It's got much less bass than an IEM.
Compared to an MV1.
Yeah, it's got less under 50 hertz specifically than those, but yeah, I guess my question was less so like regarding the patent, but like just in general, like what direction you would want this headphone to go. I really don't think I would change much about this headphone other than just slightly tilting the mids so they're a little bit less warm, and
so tilting them upwards.
You mean more warm?
No, less warm.
Tilting them upwards.
The HD800 mids are fairly warm until like the 3 kilohertz point where they then like do the hi-fi man thing and then shoot up.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I would reduce the basically just like the 10 kilohertz region because I don't get that 6K thing on my head.
Honestly, when we did a bit of context here, just recently we filmed a video about doing an EQ challenge for
MF spoiling.
Yeah, but whatever. We don't even know if the video is going to make it. filming an EQ challenge to see basically who could come up with the best EQ profiles for the HD800S, or the EQ profiles that one of us subjectively liked the best, right? And we compared with another profile as well. And but actually both of the profiles that I ended up trying sounded very good. So like and it was like they were fairly simple too. So like if that's all they do, I mean, I say all, right? Like it's actually the change would be meaningful enough that it would probably be challenging to do. But if they somehow achieve that, that would be awesome. That would be such a good headphone. And it was a slight boost to the low, like the sub bass, a reduction in the sort of upper bass area, low mid
a
area.
recontouring of the mids.
Yeah,
so they're
recontouring
not
of that.
super warm.
Filling in the hi-fi man dip area, and then a reduction to a couple spots in the treble. And sounded very, very, very good. Better than Harman. Sounded better than Harman.
I mean,
okay, that's giving away too much.
I mean, maybe, but also I feel like any comparison to Harman with that headphone, like we wouldn't really be able to do that.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
also I mean, doing that experiment revealed just how significant SPL
differences are to the impression.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because usually when I'm making EQ profiles, because usually when I'm making my own EQ profiles, I'm like trying to do it in a way where like that's not a factor, or like that's less of a factor, because it's always kind of to some degree. But because these were made by different people, they were done methodologically very differently, and it resulted in like I didn't have the pre-gain for any of them set either to make this adjustment. So it was just getting the raw dog, FR changes, and has a massive impact.
Yeah, Caleb, just out of curiosity, like I don't know if I actually know your take on the HD800 or HD800S. Like I don't know if we've talked about this headphone
pretty good
before.
headphone.
Sorry, what?
It's a pretty good headphone. I think only critique is obviously the bass is kind of wimpy, but otherwise it's pretty good. I mean, you hate the aria, right? The Hi-Fi Man aria. I like the Hi-Fi Man aria.
Yeah.
But I feel like the HD800S is a little bit more of a refined version of the aria, in the sense that you don't get that big treble peaks. You get, I like to call it like, broadband treble extension with like more like micro peaks, I guess. So you can still get those like crispness or whatever in your transients. But interestingly, I find the aria to actually be more open than the HD800S.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Soundstage is, I feel like there's a difference between openness and soundstage. I'd say the soundstage on both of them are fairly similar, because soundstage is it's a vibes-based thing. I think it's not very much a quantifiable nature.
Yeah.
But from an openness perspective, the aria I find is better, and a lot of the Hi-Fi Man headphones are like that. And it's one of the reasons why you're gonna hate me for saying this, but not too long ago, my place flooded, and I had to temporarily move to a different place, a different room in my house, right? And I couldn't set up my speakers, so I brought two headphones with me, the Hi-Fi Man Ananda and HD600. And I actually ended up using the Ananda more than HD600, because I felt that sort of that openness to me felt not speaker like, because saying speaker like is such a meme, but like it just feels a little more like comfortable in a way.
Yeah, no,
that's just general listening, right? And I'm talking about like not music, like just general use case. So yeah, so in that sense, I'm kind of like on and off for both HD800S and Aria. Both are fine with me.
I could totally see using the Ananda over the HD600. I mean, if I had both at home, I would probably use the Ananda more. I would be EQing it, but it's way more comfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. Nice. So uncomfortable for me.
The Ananda?
Yeah.
Is it the clam?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, I get the little pressure point, but it's way better than the Edition XS, which doesn't have the suspension strap at all. But thankfully, the new Hi-Fi Mans all have the suspension strap, and they all work like quite
I
well.
saw that new headband. Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna be. I mean, do we have anything else to say about HD900? I mean,
I
I think we all
was
want
gonna
it.
Price.
ask.
We're gonna talk about the price and how
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna
the
be
rumored price.
$3,000.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I mean, like that's why, in a way, it's believable because you could see them doing that, right? Because that's what the HD800 came out in. Well, when did that come out? It was
The
20.
first HD800 was
No,
like
the
2000.
S. Sorry,
The
the
S was
2015,
2020.
2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that.
So it's been like 10 years, basically, roughly.
Mhm.
And the prices for that, the high end in the industry, it's like whatever the price of the HD800S is right now is not the high end. So I could see them coming out with something at like $3,000.
So here's a question, right? Do you think they're gonna follow the Focal style? We're gonna like price everything like 5-6 grand, right? Or do you think because it feels like to me Sennheiser tends to be like, yes, they can go high end, but like it's not like the crazy high end, right? Like the IE900 when it came out, they could have priced it at like 3 grand if they wanted to, right? For a flagship, right?
Yeah, I tend to think that I'm of two minds on this. It's a good question. On the one hand, if you look at like the history of the HD800 and HD800S, like that release, and having spoken to Axel Grell about this, like he gave quite a bit of insight on like what things would have been like at the time. And this was when we were doing the live stream with those guys, so that feel free for folks who want to check that out. But basically, the idea was that because there wasn't a thing like that at the time, like you couldn't like buying headphones that cost that much was kind of crazy. But also this idea, this concept of what the HD100 was going to be was such a moonshot, that it involved, taking risks, and that meant also doing things like releasing a headphone at $1,000. Today you could, and I know there's HD800 fans in the chat, but basically today you could, if that headphone came out, the same headphone like HD800S, let's say, you could have released it at $3,000, with all the rest of the stuff that's around that price, like the crazy high end stuff.
Not least because people still acknowledge it as like one of the most technical headphones, or one of the headphones that's still hard to beat at its
exactly
main thing. So they could charge more.
So on the one hand, I feel like that model would make sense because there's a precedent for it, given what they've done in the past. At the same time, they are a company where part of their positioning is more engineering focused, less design focused. And so you see this with products like the HD550 and whatnot coming out, where it's very much about somebody when we know the person, but basically a person having a very good understanding of what good is and being able to engineer a mass production product to fit that. And like, it is not a looker. It's not it's not about the fancy design side of things, which is usually the stuff that influences people's purchase behavior in the ultra high end. So it's like, for a product like this, which side of that fence do they fall on? Which side of which direction do they go in? And this is also where I think like it's, if they were to make something like this, right, it would have to be in the context of, okay, in what ways is this better than an HD800S, right? Because it's meant to be, and if they actually achieve that, because again, they could go. You remember they released the HD820, right? And that was more expensive than the HD800, and it was bad. So it's like there's a chance this goes the wrong direction.
Man, I feel like the HD820 was actually really close to not being bad, though. Like, I feel like the only thing I hate about that headphone is that like 100 to 500 hertz area.
Where I hate a couple more things.
I honestly thought the treble was quite good. I like enjoyed the treble of that headphone. It's just, and the upper mid range was fine too.
It's like the weird dip and
yeah, it had the precog dip, the 64 audio dip in the ear gain.
Yeah, I've only heard it once at like a show floor or something, and I've never bothered to hear it again. And I mean, when I heard it, was okay, but I wasn't like, I didn't have a reflexive need to vomit from it. But I would also say that about Grado, which I know everybody hates.
Oh yeah.
So
gotcha. But yeah, bringing it back to the eventual successor and what I think of like pricing it high. I don't know, I was talking about this in one of the servers the other day. I think it was Ruck who said it's interesting that all of the classic mid-fi trio have been acquired like in the past like 5-10 years. Like AKG got bought by
Acquired. Oh
Samsung.
yeah, got it.
Bear Dynamic got bought by I actually don't know the name of the firm that bought them, but it's some Chinese firm. And then Sennheiser obviously got at least Sennheiser Consumer got acquired by Sonova.
Hi-Fi Man's still kicking.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I guess part of me thinks that the price of the HD800S should have risen like a while back. Like it probably should have grown with inflation.
Yeah.
I know for a fact it's a much more expensive to produce headphone than any of the comparably priced Hi-Fi Man options, for example. So it's kind of a shame that Sennheiser would need to kind of go above and beyond to justify raising the price now. Obviously, they'd be able to, do whatever they can do acoustically to, make it better. But I think audiophiles take for granted how well the acoustic design and industrial design, and frankly, in my opinion, the visual design of that headphone is.
I don't like the way it looks. I like the way this looks way better.
You have just like bad taste, man. But yeah, I think I want them to price it high because frankly, I want them to get returns on their investment for doing something interesting if it ends up being good. If it doesn't end up being good and it's just like another HDA20 situation, then due criticism will be given.
I actually think the HD820 looks cooler than the HD800.
It looks more gamer, so that makes sense.
Okay, I'm gonna put a line in the sand here. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 3,000. That's gonna come. I think that's the reasonable take, and then you can do 6,000 would be the other option. So I'm gonna lean 60-40, 3,000, 6,000. Okay, and then because so I found I'm sure I don't know if you guys heard, but the HE1's price has gone up like 140K now, right? So obviously that's a very different product, but right, like maybe that's signaling one of the ways that you're thinking about it. I would also say I'm also not like 100% convinced that like Sennheiser needs to actually like strongly convince people, not reviewers, like people, that the 900 is better than 800, because I feel like all they need is a point of differentiation. We have better bass, and then people say 900 is a bigger number than 800, so I'm going to buy the 900, right?
You're onto something.
It's the same.
I just think it would depend on how much they
the
charge.
logic of IE, 600, 900, right? Now, personally, I do think having heard both of those IEMs side by side, I know what the graphs say, but having heard both of those IEMs side by side, I do prefer the IE 900. But if you look at the price difference, it's like IE 900 is like almost double the IE 600, right?
Yeah, it's
I prefer the IE 200.
Yeah, see, you got it. Just because you have bad taste in IEMs.
No, I just really don't like the IE 600. It's very sibilant.
Yeah, once again, because you're bad taste in IEMs.
They're all sibilant. It's just IE 900 actually has like a fun thing about it, whereas the other two are just like kind of mid in the mids and bass.
No, but like I think like the point there is right. Like Sennheiser straight up tells you, these products are like the technology behind them is like pretty similar, right? IE 600, IE 900. There's some like minor differentiation points and stuff. But once again, just if you look at the graph, IE 600 from a reviewer standpoint is probably more palatable to more people, right? Compared to the IE 900.
Like V-shaped, but less wonk.
In the mid-range, right? Like just in general, like
it has more of a mid-range, yes.
Right. But once again, IE 900 selling, my understanding is selling like pretty good. It's pretty well received, and part of it I feel like it's because bigger
it's just
number.
The 900. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, the same thing is kind of like you see the trajectory, this kind of behavior with HE660S2 as well. I'm not saying that's like the only reason necessarily, but there's an assumption of this is better it's priced higher compared to like the older HD6 series, right? 6XX and stuff like that. And if you actually compare those headphones side by side, which most people don't, the 660S2 kind of just sounds like a worse 650. Like it's just not better.
Or a more opinionated 650.
Yeah, it's a more colored 650. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's darker.
I think the other thing though, when we look at the actual like pricing for at least their mid-range products, is that I think for those who have been in the hobby for a long time, and with the fact that, you know, HD600, HD650, HD6XX have been around for a long time, I think we mentally anchor it at around $200, right? But the
Even
actual
though
price is like, isn't it like $500 or something? 350, 500,
that's like
something like that?
MSRP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
MSRP, right? Like
we talked about this last
which,
time.
which nobody
Yeah.
references and nobody uses, but that's the actual MSRP, right?
Yeah.
So when we compare new releases, we say, oh, it's compared to $200, so this is crazy. But really, I feel like it should be compared to Sennheiser's internal MSRP ranking, right? Because whoever their product manager is, their code monkey guys or number monkey Excel spreadsheet dudes, they're gonna look at it in terms of that ranking, right? Not so much the what do audiophiles think the actual price is. Historically, it's $200, and Drop has it at HD 6XX at 200.
Well, I do think though that because of the 6XX is ubiquitous, right? It's everywhere in large part because it's such good value, and it's now recognized as that. But I like to your point, Caleb. I think you're right that like when it comes to looking at this at sort of the portfolio there's a sense in which, okay, this is where these products are positioned within the market, and this is what we can do with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the questions that are being asked, not okay, what's the hierarchy of goodness here, or like the how the community is necessarily reacting to it.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because when the what's that copper looking headphone coming out, 505S, that was it.
Yeah,
505.
505,
And then that was at CanJam, and it was the other one that came out, right? 550.
550.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one is which. Anyway, I remember asking the Sen rep at CanJam New York, right? I was like, these products came out. Like, how do you feel about, like, obviously you want to make these good products, and I think we reviewed them pretty favorably, even potentially better than the HD600. But I asked him, how are you worried that it will cannibalize the sales of your HD600? Are you worried about, like how it stacks up, right? And if I remember correctly, and I'm very sorry, Senrep, if I'm butchering what you said, but if I remember correctly, he said something along the lines of how, like, no, we don't see it as like a like taking over the HD600. We see it as, like continuing the legacy of the HD600 and like adding to it, right? But it's not like, so because that product I think is priced a little cheaper, right? They are thinking of it from that, okay, this is at this price and then this is at this price, so we can't say this is better than this. We have to say it's continuing a legacy, right?
Yeah. Eminent One says HD800 is the Big Mac, Sennheiser IE200 is the McNuggets. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually think in large part you're right, Caleb, that they wouldn't need to do a ton to justify if it was at $3,000. I think once you get to $6,000, it becomes,
that's a different story. Yeah,
a different story. But yeah,
they still need to do that thing where they make a HE1 for like $10,000, get rid of the marble, get rid of the tube thing stuff, just make that electric, because they could do it, right? Electrostatic headphone. The tubes do nothing. Like, let's just be real. You don't need that stuff.
Adds vibe.
Yeah, it does. It's okay, but to the sound, it does nothing. You could get that same sound at way less, and I think they could make a product at $10,000, bring it to the market, that would be very profitable for them because a lot of people would buy that.
The thing is, I feel like if they make an HD800 with more bass, it's basically just going to be that anyway.
But it's not eStat. That's the problem.
Yeah,
true. They won't be able to. They won't be able to charge $10,000 if they just.
That's
do
right.
That. You're right. Yeah.
You got to have that exclusivity element to it.
Yeah.
Too.
But doesn't that exist, Andrew? Like the Orpheus? or rather, it doesn't exist currently, but
Like as far as what you can buy right now, they
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
have a
There's
thing.
no cheaper e-stats in
Yeah.
Sennheiser's catalog. It's literally only the HE one. They don't have any
Yeah.
other currently available ones, which I think a lot of people would like to see. It's just, e-stats are a
Tube delete
pain.
So
pod
I guess here's
HE1.
the question: do you think the reason they aren't doing it is because it requires a whole new, production line setup, and they just
Maybe.
aren't ready for
Usually
that?
the reason companies don't do an obvious thing is because it requires a certain amount of cash outlay or tooling change or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because and I don't. This is where it kind of gets interesting because it's like, what would be required there to move to a non-marble, non-tube thing?
I mean, they would still have to pair it with an amplifier and jack.
An energizer of some kind,
Yeah,
right? So
some sort of all-in-one piece of kit, which
Yeah.
would.
I mean, the
would
amps
mean
are in the
prices
cups
would
though,
stay pretty
right?
high.
Like the
What's
amps
that?
are in the cups for the HE1. So it actually doesn't. I don't think it actually needs that much. I feel like some guy just did the math and said, okay, look, we don't have a mass production line set up for electrostatics at the moment. So
Mhm.
if we're gonna make any, we might as well make
The
it the really
expensive one. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they probably have enough customers floating around, like that, like Critical, one of guys who just buy it, right? And then and they're
Well,
happy with the demand that they have. So why make a
it's
cheaper one?
I also I don't know how much of this is something that they're sort of like thinking about, but if you have essentially the same sound as your $100,000 thing, or I don't know how much it is, but whatever, right? In a thing that is $10,000, right? Maybe there's a concern that this cannibalizes the sales of like But my thinking there is like, well, the people who are spending the $100,000 on the thing, it's like they're going to do that anyways. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I don't.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I
that
don't
that
agree
makes sense
about
though,
the sound thing
because
because
like
yeah,
Sennheiser's cheapest headphones sound better than their more
I
expensive
know
ones
it
anyway.
totally.
So
I
like
know it's exactly.
I don't think it's a
They've done
thing for
this.
them to
They've
worry
done this
about.
already. So
yeah. The
HD
guys who are
550
buying
better
it
than
are like
650.
Cristiano Ronaldo or something. It's
Yeah.
like it's not for regular people, right? So it's like who cares?
I feel like the net, like the overall outcome here would still be that they make more money because they can sell so many more units of the $10,000 thing. It's at a spot where like normal rich people can afford it, not just
I mean,
the stupid
10,000
rich
is still
people.
a lot, dude.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but more people who can who have purchased a
What?
$10,000 headphone. I know I do. I've been to Can Jams. I don't see those people buying
I don't know
HE1s.
many people lining up for like I'm thinking about like the Rala Manus, right? Like
Yeah.
I've only seen like a single digit amount of people
I guess you haven't been
who
to
actually
Munich high
own
end.
that headphone in my entire, extended online sphere, which
I think
isn't huge, but isn't small either.
if you go to Munich high end, this might change your perspective a little bit.
Shit,
Because
maybe.
it's yeah. I guess it's not Munich high end anymore. Vienna high end.
So I mean, I don't disagree with you, Andrew. I think they'll have a sizable I mean, look, I know guys who have $10,000 IEMs. So
That's insane.
they can buy $10,000 headphones, right?
Yep.
But my thing about that is, once again, goes back to are they set up on a mass production level, right? So if right now they have enough capacity to make X number of units a month, and maybe they can expand that by 50% or whatever, right? But once again, why make these cheap 10,000 ones when you can make $140,000 HE1? Like making e-stats seems like a pretty specialized skill, at least at the level that they do it at. So yeah, I maybe they just ran the math and said, right now we're not ready for it. Maybe it's better to make the HD900. And also, if you want to do a bit more like businessy stuff, like if they got bought up by Sonova, they need more cash, and you need more cash to build up production lines. Better to make the HD900.
Yeah,
maybe
I think
Sennheiser are
the
the
consumer
ones.
division was not really profitable.
Not yet.
I mean, that's the hope, right? But like that's why, I
it's
do.
Sonova. They're fabricating the HD900 rumors and putting quotes from me in there.
So you know what the sad thing is, that I think we are indirectly the reason they are not doing well, because all we say is buy the HD 600,
6XX.
which 6XX, which is $200 instead of their MSRP of $500.
I don't know how much how much if we have that kind of power though. Like there's not that many. Like yes, people watch us and watch our takes on them, but like the people who the category of people watching YouTube is only like, you know, or watching our reviews, let's say, on it is not as big as like the category of people who are potentially
I
buying
don't
headphones.
I don't know if Caleb means us in particular, and
Just
more so like
reviewers?
the wider,
Yeah,
no, the
just
wider
reviewers in general,
audiophile
right? 'Cause, like
sphere who simps the 600 and 650.
yeah,
And
because if
Yeah.
everybody's
really
gonna
the same
do
about
research, right? If
660
someone
as
looks
well.
up, if okay, let's think about it this way: who is the target audience for the HD 600? Just in general, right? You have audiophiles who would
Mhm.
watch our channel or watch similar channels to us, or you
Mhm.
have general people who say, "Hey, my favorite streamer, Northern Lion, has the HD 600.
6XX
I want maybe I
is
should buy the HD 600, right?" And then
Yeah.
they do research into it. They say, "Oh, this is the HD 550.
And
Oh, this is
Pro audio.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Pro
Pro
audio
Audio's
is
in
a
there
big
too.
audience for
Yeah,
the
right.
600
But
typically,
but you look into, so they will do the research. They look into it, and they eventually might come into us or someone like us that say, nope, the HD 600 is still better. And then they don't sell the 550s, who are probably doing better margins, right? I don't know.
Good question. I mean, margin's also based around volume.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean the 550
So
is definitely cheaper to produce.
cheaper to produce, but like you have to imagine that they're selling fuckloads of HD 600 or HD 6XXs and whatever else, right? So it's like
Well, I don't know if the 6XX makes them like any money. Like
it's
I
pretty.
have no
Yeah,
idea
I have no idea.
how
They had to
that
move to
profit stream.
Romania to make it, man. They're losing money.
Well, now they're in Ireland though, aren't they? Or did they?
6XX, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some big thing about how they all moved everything to Romania,
Yep.
including the new stuff?
Yeah.
Don't know.
But also they had to increase the price of the 550, which makes me think, you know, maybe they're like maybe it's because they feel they can, and I don't disagree. I think, you know, it's still competitive at that price, but maybe that's part of it, right? They're looking at you know, how many of these can we sell and what kind of margin do we need?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like kind of what Caleb was saying earlier, where mentally we think of the 6 series as being a $200 headphone when it's really a $300 or
Is it like
$350
350,
headphone or
almost
whatever.
400 or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I think of it as like more expensive than that, even just because, you know, of how high it sits on the list relative to all of the things that are
All
more
the thing, yeah.
expensive. But
Headphones.com
like, I know
is
normal
selling.
people don't think about it that way.
Yeah.
But like,
So headphones.com is selling it at $500 right now. I'm just looking
Yeah,
at it
it's
right now.
probably.
I mean, that's the original price. Like,
It
that's
should.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a $500 headphone.
Yeah.
It's good enough to be a $500 headphone, and at that price, it's still great. But what, like I'm saying, right? Just think about it from the
Wait for it to go on
perspective
sale.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, of course.
$200, right?
Of course, you should
I
get
mean,
it for less expensive. If
yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So here's a question, right? If we go to, oh, I guess we aren't going to CanJam SoCal, but if anyone does,
Well,
you go up to the Sennheiser
some of us,
FNDC.
some people are. Yeah.
Yeah, some of us
no
might.
one here.
No
No
one
one
here's going.
here, but maybe. Anyway, I had this video idea I was thinking about. I couldn't do it at Shenzhen because I don't speak Chinese good enough. But I was thinking, you like asking leading questions to industry insiders and see if they crack. And you just go around like finding reps and like asking them like really leading questions, like, yo, is HD like 900 coming out? Like, what's the price you guys are thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And then seeing if they leak any secrets.
Just
that'd be
going
great.
under the presupposition that you both know the same amount of information, so you just ask like, yeah. So
Yeah.
what price
It's
were you
like-
guys thinking for
like,
HD?
so-
Yeah, what
it's
are you
like,
thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the HD 550 like doing really well for you guys, or like you know, you guys gonna release like another model, like that was like really good, you know. And
Yeah.
just like trying to like sneak some info out of them.
Yeah. Blaine breaking the headphone show tells people to not attend CanJam SoCal. No, I wish I could attend. I'll just get most likely thrown in prison. But it would be interesting to attend this one because because of what Dr. Olive is doing there, and also, you know, clearly the HD800S is going to be showcased.
Now, Caleb, your eyes went wide. I don't know. So Sean has been consulting for Dan Clark, and they're doing a listening test.
Yeah.
So I think a 2-day,
Kind of
14.
thing.
Sorry.
blinded listening tests kind of thing, or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, like I think it's blind listening tests to test the validity of the target that Dan came up with for the Gross rig and the 5128. So I think they're trying to translate the Welty Harman target, the 2018 one, to the other ears. So
Yeah.
It would be interesting to participate in that. My concern with stuff like that is we know just how wide a range can be preferred, and so it's like even if it scores really well, it's like, does that mean that it's the same? No, it as what the Harman target was. No, it just means that it's similarly preferred, and that would not surprise me. It would be like we have a study. We can point to a study showing that tilted DF by 10 dB is similarly preferred to Harman, and it's like those are different targets, you know. So it's
And
yeah,
that's
I
why
think
every target is wrong except for my own.
base. This is a base take, but yeah, no, I think Dan's a little over focused on a target.
yeah,
And like
rather
as
than
a designer of headphones, it makes more sense to be focused on a target versus the
yeah.
evaluative truth of how to judge products for a
I
wide
mean,
range of
you can think
people
of it,
after they're made.
from the perspective of just trying to sell stuff, right? If you say my target is validated, I'll sell stuff. I mean, cynically, you could say that's what a lot of the Harman research was, at least for the over-ear stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah,
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 Right?
yeah.
It's
100%,
literally,
100%.
you have, if you think about it, you have to write a grant proposal, right? You say, why do I want money to do all of this stuff? Well, it's because I can make sure that whatever comes out of it, you can make your products tune like it, and we can say we are scientifically validated that we are
I
the
mean,
best
it
IEMs or headphones out there,
yeah,
right?
it is the marketing for a lot of this stuff, right?
I mean,
And
Dan
that's
already
much
does
easier to
that
do.
though. Like it's
Yeah,
like
and
Dan
for
Dan
sure.
already, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying and I agree. It's much easier to do that with specific targets than it is, to try and kind of, well, to be honest, talk about what's actually going on with listener preference overall, which is also revealed by the data, though, right? So that to me is like it's like we had to put Blaine through hell and broke his wrist to find the answers when he did all the data scraping or did the data
Oh,
analysis.
yeah.
You know, to be clear, we didn't force him to do that. That was something that he just wanted to do by himself. But he went through all the actual data for this, and it revealed so much about it. It's like I wish that was the thing that was the, I don't know, the focus of a lot of this stuff, right? To see, okay, what does the data actually show, rather than something that can be operationalized in the way that it tends to be.
Mhm.
But I guess it's also like you got to figure out where to extract money out of these studies.
Yeah. Well, so Blaine says he disagrees with this take. I don't know which take he's talking about, but he's saying, his example is that ZMF has no incentive to research a larger target curve because their tuning is non-consistent. And my argument there is that it doesn't matter for ZMF because their target
Those people
audience
hate graphs
doesn't
anyway.
care about
Yeah,
frequency response. They buy it because the cups look nice. And their headphones look good too. I mean, their headphones sound good too, but like that's not the point, right? But DCA's marketing strategy, their tactic is fall to
sciencey
use the
stuff.
meta
Yeah,
materials to get it closer to a certain target curve, just like their
yeah.
Stealth, and what's that a product they had? Phantom or something?
Expanse.
Expands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
noirs. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
If anything, I think it's funny that we have made indirectly, I think, because we have instilled doubt about the Harman target, like through communications with Dan and the kind of the wider public sphere. We have specifically made Dan spend money on having Sean Olive consult so they can find a new target curve so he can keep his marketing
Yeah.
intact. Which
No, but
I'm you're welcome, Sean.
I had not thought about it that way at all. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Blaine, no, that's what we're saying though. What you just wrote is exactly what we're saying. It's not that all manufacturers benefit from this, but if
Yeah,
that's your MO, right, it's easier to focus on a single target than the range stuff. I think.
Yeah, I don't know though. If obviously I'm not Dan in many ways, but if I were a manufacturer, I would not be interested at all in the single target curve, because I would be more interested in making a headphone lineup where there's something for everyone instead of
Sure.
one thing that
One thing.
everyone
But
might
actually,
not
this
hate.
is where Well, you could do both. You could take the Etymotic approach, right, where they have the
I
SR and
didn't know.
XR variant. Yeah, they have SR and
Oh,
XR variants, and you basically say
I
like,
mean,
okay, this is
you
one.
could,
You're talking
yeah.
about like for the whole wideband, thing, right? But
Yes, I'm talking about
yeah,
actually being creative instead of
yeah,
just
rather
doing
than
the
just like
bass
adding a
and
bass.
treble shells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Okay, shall we move on to topic number 2 or
Yeah,
whatever
let's
we're
do it.
okay?
And Caleb, this is where I'm gonna tap you because this is where we're gonna ask you to give us all the highlights from Shenzhen. So for those who weren't here earlier when it was explained, Caleb went to the 19th Shenzhen International Audio Show in China, which had headphones, IEMs, sauce, cable. It's probably just the delay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know where to start. Right? Do you want like a overview of like what else I did there, or just really focused on the show itself?
What was your
Whatever you want,
general
man.
like general sense of everything for those who've never
Been to
for
Shenzhen?
the yeah.
Yeah. So Shenzhen's a pretty interesting city in that it's very, very modern. It's a very like live-in city, live and work kind of thing. But I don't know. I like it more than Toronto. Toronto sucks. But it's no, it feels very, very modern. But if you've been to any like new big Asian city, it's like that. It's just like shopping malls everywhere. Um, all the cars are like basically electric cars. So what's really interesting is that you still get like that Asian, that aggressive driving and like honking and stuff. But because there's no car noise,
Mm.
it's just the honking. So it feels very
Oh,
weird. And if you get to a part of the city that doesn't have any honking, you'll see the cars go by, but it feels almost like, I don't know, to me it feels almost tranquil.
That's
Like
awesome.
there's
that's
like no
nice.
noise. It's actually kind of crazy, right? So,
Wow.
we're next to the exhibition area, walking down to like the little mall where we're gonna get like some food, and it's like peaceful, and it's so weird to say that about China, right? Like you have this expectation that it's not. Um, so yeah, so Shenzhen was pretty cool. Griff, I will say that like in some ways it might be a good thing that you didn't get your visa, because I mean it sounds bad, but because even as someone who speaks a little bit of Chinese, it was rough getting around places.
Oh,
Like
really?
I have so much respect for like people like Superstar Review who like did it last year and like didn't have figured it out,
Wait,
because
wait,
like
wait, wait. I'm sorry. Do you call him Superstar Review?
Mark Ryan. I don't know. Do
No, I
people
just
people
because there
people
is that little
familiar with
star.
Mark
Like,
Ryan
I've
as
never
the
seen anyone
superstar?
uh pronounce the star.
Is it superstar or super?
I don't know, but I love Superstar Review. I'm gonna
Oh,
start
it's the
calling him
same. It's
that
the
now.
same as Mark Ryan or Ryan Mark, right? Anyway, but yeah, like now to be fair, I went there a few days early, so it's not like I came, went straight, then went home directly. And um, the folks at Shenzhen Audio are extremely accommodating and helping us figure everything out. So if that was kind of your position, sure. But for me, as someone who kind of came a bit early to do a bit of vacationing myself, like it was difficult. Like the first I got into their version of Uber, and I told them to bring me to the hotel, which I thought was the right hotel, brought me to the wrong one, and I had to
Oh,
take another one to the other side of the bridge, like 5 minutes away, to the exact same chain hotel, but different location, right? And so like I'm just putting myself in your shoes, listener. If as someone who does not speak a lick of like Mandarin or understand what's going on, like that would be
Probably
so
even worse.
difficult. And the Great Firewall is like very real, I would say.
mm,
Um,
Mm. Oh
even
yeah,
with a
yeah. What was that
VPN,
like?
it's even with a VPN, like it's difficult. Like it's sketchy. Like a lot of some I have to switch constantly between VPNs. Um,
Oh
so it's tough. And the other thing was that they don't take credit card, so you have to hook up
yeah,
special
WeChat.
like yeah, WeChat Pay or Alipay. So you have to hook up your credit card to like something.
Hmm.
Um, but the problem is that as a foreigner, especially if it's your first time, they have a lot of like security measures to make sure you're not
Oh,
like a scammer and stuff. So one time I was at a tea shop trying to buy some tea or whatever, and I'm there to pay, and I got locked out of all my payment options because I think I was switching VPNs so often trying to get back on the network, they thought I was a scammer, and to like
Mm.
spend like 3 hours at this tea shop trying to like re-verify everything. So it's you can I think if you're like not like don't treat it as like a regular like go vacation, walk around and see stuff. It's fine, but like if you're there just for the show, it's okay. But otherwise, yeah, be prepared. It's tough.
Got it. Yeah, no. So I had been alerted to a lot of that stuff from actually James at Linsol. Shouts out to James.
Mhm.
He had prepped me to like have my WeChat ready to go, have my VPNs ready to go. Set a lot of the expectations as a foreigner, Western speaking or English speaking Western person. But yeah, I know that getting around and just doing very simple commerce interactions would have been an experience, let's say. I'm glad you made it through all of that.
Yeah,
As
I
difficult as
mean,
it
like I
was.
said, I speak. My joke is that I speak enough Chinese to say I don't speak any Chinese, right? Like I can tell people I don't speak any Chinese, but so I could kind of get around. It wasn't too bad, but I will say, m- for I think most of the time, I think 4 days I was hanging out with basically industry people, and Chinese hospitality is like very real. I feel kind of bribed, to be honest, in some
Oh
in
wow.
some ways, because the day before or a couple of days before the show, I visited the Linso office just to see like what's going on, meet Lillian and say hi and stuff. And then they have one of their marketers, and then they had Joyce from Joyce Reviews. She works at Linso. I'm not sure if anybody knows that, but
Yep,
um,
she's pretty open
yeah,
about it.
they after we had a nice fancy lunch, um, they brought me around to see Shenzhen and the city, and it's just like you just hang out and you see stuff, right? And it's fun, right? Um, and when I and I I didn't expect it because I asked Lily and I said, where can I get the best seafood in the city? Because I like seafood, and she said, don't worry, we'll bring you to a seafood restaurant, and it's like okay, sure, right? And that was kind of the theme for some of the other like industry days that we had at the show. Like we would go to the show, and the first night of the show, they brought us out to dinner at a pretty fancy place, private
Nice.
rooms kind of thing. And we sat down with the big boss of Shenzhen Audio, also known as Leon Audio. Um, and the Moondrop guy was there. They hosted other reviewers from Japan and stuff.
When we
Um,
say Moondrop guy, you mean Herbert?
yeah, Herbert,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
CEO,
yeah.
his wife is there. So Clinical was there. They drank a lot. Yeah, a lot of drinking. But yeah, so it's like that. And then each subsequent day, we also had lunch, and similar thing. We go to a nearby shopping mall, and they feed us like really well. So definitely feel a little bribed after the
I'm sad I
event.
missed that. That sounds
Yeah,
going for
but
drinks with
okay.
Clinical sounds
So
like a
so
good
what?
time.
So yeah, I mean, so what's funny? They outdrank the Australians, which was crazy. We had a couple. Passion from Sound was there,
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what the heck they were drinking. They call it baijiu, like white wine, but it's basically
Oh
like 40%, almost like a vodka, but it's like 40%, and then they just do
wow.
shots. These shots all night, um, and then they topped it off with like a surprising lack of like rice and noodles. And maybe it's because we went to like fancier places that like they, rice and noodles are like poor people, so they didn't give us that. But as as somebody who likes rice and noodles, I'm like, where the heck are
Yeah,
the carbs,
give me more of that.
So
No, I would have loved it. I love spicy food. I love alcohol.
mhm.
It's a problem. I had to quit drinking. I should quit spicy food, but
Yes,
also
you
I
should.
can't. Yeah, and I also can't eat carbs, so I can't have rice and noodles. So it would have been perfect for me.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Um, so I was trying to convince them to bring us back
Uncle
next year, and
Roger should have been there.
yeah, I think they were asking, they were really like saying like, tell listener, tell Andrew to come like next year. So I think
I
they
would
they
love
really
to.
want to
Yeah.
invite us back, and I think we'll just make sure we clear our calendars for around this time, I guess. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, they already let me know they were gonna ask me back next year. It's just I feel bad,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
So
dude,
the
I'm glad,
stream
I'm
is
glad you had such a good time.
the stream is apparently cutting out. Are we good?
It should be fine now, but yeah, it did cut out
Yeah.
again quite big,
Yeah.
like it did the
So it
last
is
time.
100% Griff's fault. They have no control. They have. It's
I
not
have
that they have
lost
no
control of
control.
the
Yeah.
situation.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's intentional.
It's
Yeah.
not intentional. I have no idea what it is. It's just my internet going south.
Yeah.
Like my signal is just shit in the bed. But okay, yo, Caleb,
Okay. Let's.
I'm
Mhm.
glad you had such a good time with the non-audio stuff. Is there any audio stuff that was
Yeah.
actually
Yeah. Let's
interesting?
actually talk about the audio stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can share my screen. Like a good office worker, I made a PowerPoint.
Hold on 1 second. Audio is not synced. That's a problem.
So can somebody refresh and let us know? Lips don't line up with the. Maybe we're just ventriloquists.
I just refreshed it on our end. How is it now, guys?
Somebody clip that.
Argus says refresh the YouTube page if you
This
need
is
it
how
to refresh.
Griffin communicates. All our work meetings are like this.
Yeah. When I unbutton my top button and get loose, this is what it sounds like.
When Griffin has a drink. If he had gone to the show, that'd be.
Okay, Caleb, sorry. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. How can I share my screen? Can I share my screen?
No.
Share a window?
I don't
No?
think so. No. What do you want to share
I'll
those?
just DM you
Yeah, go for it.
my PowerPoint of pictures that I have here.
Is it that link that you already sent me or no?
Yes. So no, because this one is like the pictures I actually took.
Got it.
But we can also pull up the link there.
I don't think I'll just
Oh,
show the
Lord.
ones that
This
you
one.
actually took because I feel like those pictures don't really show a lot of like audio. It's more so just like pictures of
Cosplayers.
the cosplayers, which if I have the choice, I won't subject our audience to that.
What? You don't want to show the
That's what they
cosplayer?
want, though.
Is it though?
No, man.
Okay.
People are here for the cosplay and the cartoon children and all that stuff.
That's not why they're here. That's why they're on the main channel.
That's
That's
why
not
they.
why they're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Also, Caleb,
Okay.
where are you sending this? Discord?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a link. Then you can download it.
Okay.
Like, okay. Yeah, I mean so I guess talking about a show like day one, I guess was really just product launch announcements. So they bundled us all reviewers to like a corner of the exhibition area, which was a really big exhibition area. Think like really big open space sort of thing, and everybody has booths, right? It's not like CanJam where it's like in a hotel and you set up like booths like sandwiched side by side. It's very much kind of like, it's more like a CES kind of thing, huge open space, and yeah, you go in, which I think is the first time they did this, because I looked at pictures from last year where it's a lot closer to the CanJam style, and man, that looked like really cramped. This was a really nice, spacious thing. Yeah, but anyway, so they bundled us to kind of back of a corner of a room, of the place, and there's a little platform and stage that you just stand, that people will go up, and all the reviewers kind of sat there. And then they had sort of, I guess, their sponsors, their keynote sponsors come in and give a presentation. What are we launching, right? So Theo gave some stuff, Hi-Bye gave some stuff, Do knew all the different people. I'm trying to remember who was even there, but to be honest, it's a bit of a waste of time for the reviewers, in my opinion, because none of us spoke Chinese, and we just kind of sat there, and they just went back and forth, and some of the, and I gotta admit, like, maybe it's like a cultural thing, but I felt like they weren't very good at giving presentations. It's a lot of it felt like a little too technical in the way it didn't need to be. And so like one example would be like some guy was going on about like this $50 or they were going on some IEM that they're like spent all this like effort like engineering it and whatnot. And I looked at the picture and I'm like, this is a $50 IEM. I know what it's like. I know what it's gonna sound like. And lo and behold, at the end of the presentation, it was a $50 IEM. And I'm like, you just spent an hour talking about it, and like nobody will care about it. And I was like, I feel so bad.
Was
but
it
yeah,
one of those things that could have been an email?
No, literally, like that could have been an email.
Yeah.
So that was So that was like kind of day one, and we only really had like 2 hours to go around the show and see stuff. But what's interesting is this show is an open show, so you did not have to have any tickets to come in, which I thought was really nice of Shenzhen Audio to do that, because it really opened the floor for anyone to come in. And to me, what I found was that it felt a lot more like a celebration of the hobby, rather than, I felt like Can Jam was a little bit more about like come and listen to stuff and buy stuff. Right there, you could buy stuff, but it wasn't. I don't know. It didn't feel so salesy to me. Um, but it could also be because I don't speak like any Chinese.
I hear
Fair.
you. So
People are
it took
saying,
me a while to get the PowerPoint
yeah.
up, but were there any products that are in the images besides the red HD800 where they jacked my swag that you felt were of note?
Yeah. So if you go up to the start, unfortunately, because I was trying to like film content,
Mm-hmm.
but also like thought like I had to take photos and stuff, and I was running into like issues with my tripod not being able. The tripod I took was more meant for like a phone, like smartphone
Yeah.
selfie thing. So
Mhm.
I put the camera on, it would like slide down. It was like so annoying. So unfortunately, it was kind of like trying to chase two birds or chase two rabbits at the same time, and I succeeded at neither. But if you just go back to the start, I can walk you through some of the pictures here.
This is the Erzatich, and people are saying wanting to hate on the Octagon headphones. Those are also at Munich high end or at the European high end show, like all the time.
Oh, the Octagon
And
one? Yeah, it's not very good.
yeah, it's I mean the concept is a little bit ZMF at home, right?
Is it? I know nothing about it.
Ah,
I just sat down and I listened to it.
I
sounds
have
more like
heard these.
Odyssey at home.
Not great.
You didn't like it? I just mean because for a lot of them they do wooden stuff. That's their
Oh,
they came out of the gate with all these wooden, basically the same kind of shape, but made out of
right.
various different types of wood, right? So
Oh.
that was so. This one is I see where you're saying Odyssey at home now, but no, if you're familiar with this brand and you've gone to others, a lot of the other shows where they're featured, you see a lot of the stuff that's wooden as well.
No. First time seeing. Yeah,
What were your
that is the
impressions?
Earth whatever thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, first time I heard it. Yeah, so if you go to picture number 4, I think.
The one with the figures?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to really see there other than random figures. They had a few booths like that. I think picture number 5 is
The
is
camper?
Erzatich from Slovenia? No, right? Are they? I could be totally wrong about this.
Oh yeah. So I mean it's just like random stuff. A lot of these booths have just like some random stuff there.
Mhm.
But similar to what CanJam had. Oh yeah, number 5 is what I want to talk about, the Canper 752B.
B?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this IEM was pretty disappointing to me. I think it's about $5,000 IEM.
Oof.
I like the Canper 622B. The
Mhm.
first time I heard it, I wasn't like super impressed, but the second, third time I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is like pretty freaking good. Like it's good. This one, yeah, I don't know what they kind of messed it up because it had the same sort of like bass physicality and grunt as the 622B, but the treble and like upper mids is just like all over the place, so it wasn't very good.
Mm.
That's $5,000. What really pissed me off though was that the shells feel
Cheap?
exceptionally cheap, like unbelievably cheap. Like on the 622B, apparently it's the same like resin and whatnot, but
Mhm.
I didn't really notice it as badly. But this one was like very, very noticeable, and I was very upset about that.
Wow, yeah, Erzatich is from Slovenia. All right, shout outs to Erzatich. Slovenia is the best country.
There we go.
Okay, anyway,
Continue.
Yep. Okay, so that was 652. Oh yeah,
mhm.
numbers. The next slide has Dunu's one of Dunu's new headphones. Um, that one is they're on your headphone, and they actually reference cost in their presentation. Um, it's a I actually didn't get to hear it in the end, unfortunately, but they had 3 new headphones. One was like a wooden sort of headphone they call it the Matisse or something. That was actually pretty good. I quite liked that one. It was an open back. I think it came in around $500. It's still prototype. They're still finishing up the finishing on it. And the mid range, I have a short on it that's coming up, but the mid range on it has this weirdly like hollow sound to it, but it's not thin. And I don't know if you guys like if that makes sense, but like it's a bit odd. But otherwise, the bass like impact and slam I thought was like very good on it, especially for an open back headphone. And I don't know, it looked pretty cool. I did tell him to use a Capra strap though, because just straps.
I was gonna say if this is actually comfortable, I would be open to.
Oh, very, very comfortable. It's probably one of the most comfortable
Interesting.
headphones I've had in a while, or tried in a
Okay.
while. Yeah.
You have to
Um,
remember that Andrew's head is massive, though.
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
but
And my
see, that's the thing.
my
It's
pinna is floppy too. I have a very
yeah.
flaccid pinna.
the
It's true.
the it is an oval shaped cup, so
Oh,
it's
interesting.
it's wider, right? The pads are plush. It is definitely on the larger side because for me, and the reason I told him to use the Capra strap was because it kept like sliding down my head.
Oh,
Um, so if they can fix the mid range, obviously it's never got it'll never be the HD600, right? It'll never whatever. But if they can at least clean up the mid range a little, I feel like it's a pretty compelling headphone. In my opinion, it's definitely one to watch out for.
cool.
And the last one they had was this really big, like it looked almost like that final headphone. I can't remember what it's called. The
D8000.
yeah. It looks a bit like that, of like that big like ring. This is kind of like their flagship. It did not sound good, and I think they knew that. And it's going to be fully redesigned, so not too many comments on that one.
Got it.
Next slide. Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, the Q, right? Or K?
Yeah, Yujil or U9, I guess. Chue is how they pronounce it. Um, it's this one is a really interesting IEM, and a bit of context is that the guy who makes this one, started. My understanding is that he started as trying to really improve upon Eddie work, right, with the single BA IEM, and then really giving it a really nice treble extension, more bass, that sort of thing. And then over time, he developed this. What's really interesting about this IEM is that if you look at it on a graph side by side with the Elysian Pilgrim, it looks very, very similar, to the point where apparently there were some rumors about how like Lee from Elysian Audio helped tune this. But if you actually hear it, it's very, very different. And I would say this is actually probably one of the highlights of the show. It's a very, very good IEM. It doesn't have the tip. It's not new meta by any means. It doesn't have that, scoop 2K and then like a big mountain at 3K. This is more like it rises around 1.5 and then sort of plateaus out a little. So you kind of get that sort of a little warmer tuning, but the bass on this was really quite good. The treble extension was very, very good. No peaks, pretty smooth, but still get that shimmer on it. So that was a pretty good IEM.
Yeah, no,
I
I've
was
heard a
gonna
lot
buy
about that. I feel like for people who want that kind of quote unquote Lee tuning, this thing seems like a better looking and less expensive option than most of those offerings. So
But I would say it's not a lead tuning though, because I would say the Pilgrim is a very one-off version of what he typically does, right? It's the Pilgrim is very like it's much more relaxed compared to the other Elysian Audio products. So yeah, I there's a few IEMs in this vein as well, actually in this style. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
but I guess I was saying like it doesn't look that different on a measurement, at least. I haven't heard
or for the
this
Pilgrim,
IE.
but the Pilgrim specifically is.
No, it doesn't look that different from the Annihilator or
Oh, does
the
it? I can't remember.
yeah, no. It like what I'm saying is it still has those hallmarks of like the bass shelf that comes in a little bit into the
Yeah.
mids. It has that early ear gain rise that kind of plateaus, and
Yeah.
then it has the quote unquote treble extension, so the extra air above 10 kilohertz.
Yeah. No, this one I liked more than
Nice.
a lot of the Elysian IEMs for sure.
And
Yeah,
how
it's
much
also
is
not
this
that
one?
expensive. It's like $500 or
400,
something like that,
something
right?
like 400. I would have bought one actually, but
Wow.
well,
also
I would
looks
have bought
nice.
one because my friends were asking me to buy one for them. But and because we have a little group here in Toronto that like swaps gear very frequently, so I
Mhm.
was gonna like buy one and like we're gonna like swap it around, but they're all sold out, so I couldn't get one.
Eh.
Or it says new meta 2 kilohertz isn't sucked out enough. I need new meta.
Oh
Yep.
boy. All right. Well, let's move on to the
What's
next
the next
one
picture
here.
here?
Oh, I know this one. Do you don't have this at home, do you, Caleb?
I don't. I would like. I mean, I'd be interested in reviewing one, but my impressions of this one was that I don't know if I was very enamored by it. It just felt kind of like a bit darker, a bit bassy, kind of warmish. Um,
Oh,
it's
is that the
okay.
one that I have?
The
Yes, it's the one we
RSV2
both have. Neither of us are going to give our takes on it.
How's the fit?
fit was fine. I mean, it didn't
Okay.
no real complaints for
That's my
me.
biggest issue with the first one.
Yeah, no, it was good. Um,
So this is the soft ears RSV2 for
yeah,
folks
Yes,
who are
RSV Mark II for those who are not aware.
yeah. It's I don't know. It's like I think it's like $1,000 or something. I don't know.
It's 700.
Yeah, I'd have to listen to it like longer by myself, but I felt that this one was really it was good, but just a bit darker, a bit bassier, a bit warmer. Oh yeah, Soft Ears also had this five had this pentabrid IEM at the show. Can't remember
Is
what
that
it's
the
called.
next slide?
No, it's not the next slide. I didn't.
Oh.
Actually, yeah, it's next slide. Next slide. I can't remember what it's called, and unfortunately, I couldn't get a very good photo of it. Um, but it's a pentabrid, and they have a MEMS driver in there. So I know you love
the
MEMS.
fuck.
Disqualified.
But this one does not need an energizer. This MEMS
Oh,
driver
so it doesn't
does
have like a
not need an
charge unit in it
energizer
or
for it.
something?
It's pretty unique. Um, it's okay. I felt like the MEMS driver didn't really do anything for me. Like maybe if you told me there wasn't one, I wouldn't have picked up on it. If you told me there was one, my brain will construct some sort of narrative that lets like, oh yeah, I feel like I heard a little like hint of it, right? But um yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I think it's like 2K plus, something like
Oh
that.
wow.
Mm.
If I remember
Okay.
correct, I actually don't know. Like my philosophy at these shows is like I see something, I put it on my head or put it in my ears, and I ask questions later, and I don't remember what the answers are to the questions.
Yeah.
I hear
Shoot
you.
first, ask questions later, and then don't
Yeah,
remember what the answers are.
yeah,
That's a good approach.
Oh, is
yeah.
this a Moondrop power amp? What is that?
Oh, you're talking about the next slide, right?
Yeah.
That's Cayenne. So this was in
Yeah.
the Moondrop booth. Moondrop had their own little listening section area, and Cayenne, they basically partnered with Cayenne to um, basically power all their stuff. And those CD players there are from Cayenne as well. CD
Hmm.
players are a thing now, kind of really coming up there. Um, Honestly, it was a pretty cool experience using this CD player because it's like it's chunky. It feels very
Yeah.
chunky. It's kind of like vinyl. You have to remove this top cover, put your CD, you put down the top cover again. Um,
Yeah,
it's
so
pretty
you
fun.
gotta make CDs just as inconvenient as vinyl, and then audiophiles will be all into it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And they're already
Um,
pretty inconvenient.
you know what? So here's my theory. I think they're going to CDs in the same way that they're doing that in the West is kind of like vinyl. The difference is that they don't have enough space for vinyl, so they do CD, right? Right? But the
I think we
idea
should
is
bring
the
back
same,
the 8-track. You know,
right? Like
like
Oh God, it's a
yeah,
terrible idea.
like
may as well.
yeah, because Dunu has a similar thing too. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I said, it's not like the old like Walkmans where you press a button, it opens up, and you just close the lid. It's very like you have to take this whole like piece off
Hmm.
to even use it.
Do you remember what you were listening to on this stack?
Oh yeah, of course. Evangelion.
No, I meant the I meant the IEM or headphone.
um, I think it's a Laputa.
Oh, okay.
Or the Para 2. I can't remember which one or the
La
other.
puta.
Actually, or probably both.
Sure.
Yeah, the Para. So the Para 2, to me, I had I don't know. It felt there was a bit more mid range shoutiness, shrillness, and a bit like crunchiness in
Mm.
that upper mids, lower treble sort of region for me. Um, that I did not expect because I think I remember watching your review on it, Andrew, and
Do you
trying to
know what
remember
the
if you
pads were
mentioned
on
it.
there?
Hmm?
They were
Do you know what
probably
the pads
stock.
were
It was
on?
a show.
Oh, that's a good question. I
Well, no,
couldn't
I'm curious if that because it's so easy to swap pads. Like maybe they were
I doubt they
No,
were
I
shipped as
think
anything else
I
on
think
it.
those are stock.
stock.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So are you
yeah,
describing the honkiness at around like 1.5 kilohertz or like
no,
higher up?
no, it wasn't a honkiness. It's more, it
Oh,
was upper. It's more like 5, 6K, I think.
oh, okay. I don't know that I
That
heard
sort of
much
transition
there.
area for me. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I feel like I felt that, but I went to the Laputa. It didn't have that at all. I kind of like I quite like the Laputa. I just think that it just needs like a high treble
Cut.
negative shelf.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just cut that out a little bit, and then like you're done, and it's like
It
perfect.
looks to me it looks very good from a fine grain standpoint,
Yeah,
but I think the overall balance I would want to shift it a little bit more towards lower frequencies.
yeah, yeah. Just pull it down a bit. I think that's all
Yeah.
you need.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So not too much to say. I was gonna try they also have this. Hmm?
Just someone says they it just needs a rename. I disagree. I think it's a great name.
It's eye catching. The other thing I was gonna
Yes.
say about that booth was that they had the Moondrop Dark Side, which is like their flagship headphone there. Except unfortunately, someone like I think broke it,
Mm,
so I couldn't hear it. And there were some e-stats as well. I think there are some secret Moondrop e-stats which I didn't unfortunately get a chance to hear. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of people at the Moondrop booth.
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, the next slide is this. It's a very expensive IEM. I think it's like
Power
five
level.
thousand dollars.
Kasha. Does that come with a ring?
I don't, yeah, just some fancy accessory. This one I heard because only reason I listened to this is because Chang told me to listen to it. For those who don't know, Chang is the guy at Subtonic who helped make the Subtonic Storm, right? So if he says it's good, it's probably worth checking out. It is actually quite a good IEM, like a very it's a very good IEM. But I would say it's what I would call water cooler bait. So
Mm.
I don't know if you guys know how to.
So weird sounding, weird looking, expensive.
I wouldn't say it was weird sound. It actually did
Oh,
sound
okay.
quite good. But the hallmarks are like lots of bass, really big,
Mm.
meaty physical bass, lots of that upper treble extension, that little like micro detailing, shimmery, fake detail for some people. But yeah, it's like it's like water cooler bait is what I would say. But that doesn't mean it's not good. It's just it's that style of IEM. Um,
Oh, that's it makes sense if you're going to release a product at what $5,200 or something like
yeah.
that for it to
I think
be
this is
something
their
like that.
first IEM too. And like I said, I think like if you're gonna spend that much, there's worse things you could spend it on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Akasha.
No, what was the
I'm
next one? This is when I
So
cannot tell what this is.
if I remember correct, I'm gonna feel so embarrassed if I have this wrong. But if I remember correctly, this is the Let Shure EJ10.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna pray that I have this correct. Because the Let Shure EJ10, if you look at a graph for it, it looks like actually really good. Maybe a bit bright, but it looks actually really quite good. However, there are two things that went wrong with me for this IEM. The first is that despite how nice it kind of looks on a graph, it's kind of like new Meta E with a little bit more treble extension or treble elevation. Um,
Mm,
it
doesn't look that way to me, but okay.
Well, the mid range is it's pretty new Meta E, is it not?
Not really.
Let me see if I can find it.
I
I
can
can't
send
remember
you
where I saw the
a
graph.
link real quick. Oh, I can also. I just realized I'm displaying my screen for chat, so I can do that. Yeah, it's like
close enough. Like it's close enough to new Meta E, right? Like I would say that's new Meta E.
eh,
Um,
I wouldn't. I feel like that's more like a kind of like a volume S where it's got that extra forwardness in the upper mids, little scoop in the center mids. But yeah, go on.
But the 10K peak there area,
Mhm.
that was pretty real to me, I would
Mm.
say. And there was definite glariness there. So it didn't really work out for me. I'm kind of sad because I thought it looked like pretty promising, but yeah, that area was not great. Um,
Mm.
the other thing I really did not like about it, if you go back to the PowerPoint, is that the faceplate looks like absolute garbage. It looks like
Yeah.
cheap vinyl wrap on an
Oof.
IEM, and you can even see like little like I don't know. I felt like I saw like little dings in the faceplate itself, so it actually looks like cheap vinyl wrap. And so I told the Let Sure guys, I'm like, you have to change this because I think it's like a $2,000 IEM or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it hasn't launched yet, but I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
so that was it, and the last slide will be something that everybody will like to see.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah. So I mean, there's quite a lot more that I heard. Another IEM I heard is and unfortunately I have all of this captured in shorts, but not as like photos. But the other IEM I heard is the Tangzhou Wukong. Tangzhou obviously being a brand we don't cover. I don't think we've covered any of their products, but
I believe I did a long time ago. I covered the Zitian Wu,
okay,
which
maybe
Oh yeah,
or
you
Wu
did.
Zitian.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I never
It's
covered the Wainer, I
The
don't know how to
Warner.
say that. Yeah, but people were
Um,
interested now.
yeah. It's yeah. They made a name for themselves as being more of a budgety brand, and they make sounds like they make some pretty good products. However, yeah, Wukong is a $2,000 something IEM, so they jumped all the way up to the high end. Um, it's a weird I it's a weird IEM in the sense that for starters it's very very bassy, like just a crap ton of low end quantity. But above that, like if you delete everything under 300, you ignore that. Um, it's like weirdly balanced in a way. So it's kind of weird. And I was talking to Timmy about this, and he kind of felt the same thing. But yeah, for 2,000 something, I definitely would not recommend it. Um, the other IEM that I heard, or some other things that came to mind, NF Acoustic. I remember they asked us to go and visit their booth and give them some um, impressions and feedback. Unfortunately, that was probably the worst thing I heard at the show, uh, because I plugged I think one of their stuff in, and I actually thought my DAP was broken, because of how bad it sounded. Uh, and I even asked them like, can I borrow some other dongles that they had, and it didn't fix anything. And I told them, okay, this is not good. And they say, oh, it's meant for studio use, which is like it pisses me off.
a
It's like,
very
no,
classic cope. Yeah.
it's like, so it's such a stupid cop out. Um, but yeah, their headphone, they also had a headphone there, was not as bad, but yeah, that was pretty bad, like overall. Um, what else was there that I'm trying to think
Did
of?
you try the? You didn't try the Mr. Craft stuff, right?
No, because I didn't even know that they were there,
No, it's a shame.
unfortunately. But it's okay. I feel like I'm over the Elysian audio thing now. Um, because it's too here's my rant. It's too everything you hear is not the final version. So
Oh,
anything you hear
It's a
it's not
good
actually
take.
real, bro. So if like you don't like it, oh, you gotta listen to the final
but
version.
Yeah.
that happens with headphones too, over your headphones as well.
But not to the extent that it happens with
Really?
IEMs. The IEM.
No,
Okay.
not with like Elysian and Lee specifically. Like
Oh, okay.
there's
Well, no, I mean, so we saw something similar with Andro, right? Listener, you weren't
oh my
around when
god,
Andro
yeah.
was popular, but it's the same thing where you have one version and you say, oh no, that's not the right version. You have to listen to the right version, which is like 2018 versus 2019 or something. And it's like,
Ugh.
oh, what source are you using? Oh, you can't use that source. The output impedance is like
Well,
1.1 off or something, man.
I
And
mean,
like,
like that legitimately would change the bass, but quite a bit on
yeah,
that.
I mean it does, right? But it's always like this shifting of goalposts.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as like some of the Elysian stuff that, when I first heard, I like their products. Like I like the Diva, right? I like some of I've heard their Dio, their $10,000 IEM. It's pretty good. But yeah, anytime that their stuff comes up, my rant is like, am I hearing the right one? Like, are you wasting my time?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't waste my time. Give me the actual one, because I'm not gonna spend 30 minutes writing up some impressions. Someone's gonna come in and be like, no, you didn't hear the right one, or you didn't hear on the right cable. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the actual result there is like if you have a headphone that is changing so much with all of those things, that's a bad headphone. Like a headphone should not change. I am an anti-scaling truther now, because if your headphone is
I mean, like with
changing with all
output
of these
impedance.
variables, like
Yeah.
what's
No,
the sound of the
no, but
headphone?
it's not. No, but see, it's not about that. It's scaling or changing or whatever. It's
The
that
different models.
it's it's
No,
legitimately
no,
a
no. I
Yeah.
different
know.
model,
I was saying
or
the goalpost shifting of well,
yeah,
you heard
the
it on the
general idea. The
yeah,
general idea is just a goalpost shifting, right?
yeah.
It could be the same model that everybody is hearing, but you don't know, because
Yeah.
everybody has some prototype version of it, and then there's cable memes thrown into the mix. And I'm not gonna get into whether or not I believe all of that stuff. It's just annoying, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't hear it, but that's okay. Um, Probably the coolest thing at the show. Let me see if I can pull up a photo.
That's the solution.
The hamsters do not control the internet.
They do. I understand
Sorry,
this
guys.
technology.
Guys, can you let me know that the audio is okay too? I know there were sync issues last time. Let me know if I have to like refresh the cache or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's. Oh, there we go. It looks like it's back
Okay,
now.
it's all good.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, I just sent you a picture, Griff, on Discord. Oh yeah, and someone made a comment. For those who don't know, Elysian Audio is basically gone now. I think it's owned by Effect Audio now completely, if I understand it correctly. So yeah, so that hype beast, whatever is, I don't know if that's gonna last around.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just saw Blaine's comment.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so what is this image you just sent?
So this is an IEM. This IEM was handed to me when I was at the U booth, like the U9 booth. So I
Looks
think
sick.
the guy who owns it is like a friend of the U9 guy.
Mhm,
This is, like I said, I think because historically they were sort of trying to improve upon Etymotic.
mhm.
So there's a single BA IEM in the vein of Etymotic. But this is I wish I had it with me. I packed it up and put it away. But it fits like an eddy without the triple flange. So you get that really deep fit, but it's actually extremely comfortable and
Yeah, I was gonna
extremely
say it looks really comfortable.
yeah, it's really small, right?
This
And
looks
the way
comfortable
it's
to you?
angled,
Mhm.
it's two pin, so you don't get that rotating MMCX. But the way it's angled doesn't mean you get the weird angle with the cables trying to fly everywhere. It actually fits extremely nicely. And as you can see, there are 3 dip switches on there, so you can tune
Hmm.
it however you want. The tuning that I had on it was not very good, actually.
Mm.
It was a bit, yeah, it definitely need a bit more like treble uplift. But and I'm gonna sit down and actually like play around with it. But from what the feel of it was actually like pretty nice, and I brought it to some of my friends to try, and a lot of them like really enjoyed it.
Well,
So
you just need to position it so that it sits further out of your ear canal, and then you'll get more trouble,
no, no, no,
right?
no. This
Make it
is
like a
this is
regular idea.
no, no, no. You have to respect the deep fit, man. This is a deep, deep fit
No, I know.
IE.
I'm personally very interested in this because this type of device would solve my
Yeah,
problem with
yeah,
most IEMs.
yeah. And
Probably. Yeah.
this is $50, I think.
Oh
IEM
wow.
Ozempic.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I could. Yeah, I'm. If this is a trend, if this becomes a ubiquitous, universal thing that you as an option, I am so down for that. If they can
Yeah.
figure out the tuning for it
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta play around with it, and I can ship it over to you, Andrew, at
at
some
some.
point if you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was not expecting much from it. The owner guy, I think basically what happened was he saw that I was like recording a video for the U9 um in English. So he obviously assumed, like, this guy's like a international reviewer or something. And so he
Mhm.
very aggressively gave me the stuff to try. And I'm like, okay, I give him some impressions. I'm like, oh yeah, I like the fit or whatever. And I was walking away, and then he just actually like handed the actual thing to me. So
Wow.
EIEM.
Cool.
And I'm glad he did, because it's probably one of the most interesting things I've come across. I'm not sure how he's doing it, because there's dip switches, but it's a single BA, right?
It looked like there was a filter circuit in there or something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably it's something's going on in there. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's not new meta for sure, but I think I looked it up on like Twitter. I think he it's meant for gaming. It's actually
Hell yeah.
it's for gaming, which honestly, I think there's merit there because of
Yeah.
how deep it
Something super
fits, how
comfortable.
well it
Yeah.
isolates, how stable it is. And some of the dip switches presumably will help you get more to a gamer status. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was good. What else did I hear? That was good. Honestly, I didn't really do that much listening. I feel like I'm becoming like Crin, where like you go to a show and you're like, I don't want to listen to anything. Um, which is odd to say, but it's more like the atmosphere and the stuff to see.
I feel like I haven't hit that point yet, because like for like the first Can Jam I went to, it was like the first Can Jam, so I listened to everything. And then the next two, I was doing like content for like Denfi.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
and you've also
every
been
show since
measuring.
then has
Yeah.
been working for headphones.com, so I haven't got to hear anything.
Yeah.
So I never got to hit the point of fatigue where I'm just like, I don't care to listen to anything. Like, no,
Yeah.
for the last few shows, I really wanted to listen to stuff and I couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, because I feel like there's this thing, and just in general in shows, I feel like there's this thing where it's like you want to capture content, you want to capture pictures, you want to actually listen, and how do you schedule that between like, and other things that I always I don't know how you guys feel, but I always feel like there's this thing where it's like I go up to a booth and I see like 10 people there. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna disturb you, right? I'm gonna
Yeah,
let
I'll come
you
back.
do your thing,
You feel
right?
like an
And
asshole if you go in there
right,
and just like start doing content.
yeah, and then you like, okay, I'll come back, but then that completely throws off the schedule of like what you want to do stuff, right? So I took a bunch of footage of me giving like little impressions and stuff, and I had some themes on like stuff I wanted to do, some ideas for like a longer form video, but it all like the quality was just not good enough because of these challenges. And it's fine, I'll plan
It
for
happens.
better next
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I always feel kind of that way, which goes into why I think I just don't really I don't really care to listen to stuff as much, because most of the stuff it's like samey.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think also like the recognition of show impressions being quite,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, quite. It's like, to me at least, going to a show is about capturing the vibe of the show
Mm-hmm.
more than the actual listening impressions. Because if there's something that's interesting there, you can always get listening. You can like try
Get
and
the
see if you
product
can get
in.
the product and then have
Exactly.
proper.
Why am I
Yeah,
listening to anything? I'm just gonna wait for the
yeah.
product to come in.
The
That's
exception
how I
is
felt.
for stuff that that you wouldn't be able to get in, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, it's a worthwhile thing to
Yeah.
prioritize. Because there's a lot of
But
stuff that, like, especially in the IEM world, where I'm just like, I don't know how I would get this in or where it's from. Like,
so here's the thing, right? So completely agreed, right? So that's the irony of it, right? If it's a product worth reviewing, worth covering, you should get it in so you can review it, right?
exactly.
Sure.
But
This
on
does
the
not
flip
describe
side,
most of the products at these shows, though.
so on the flip side though, right? If there's a product that I would want to review, but it's like so high end, I
Yeah.
can only give it a quick little impressions, and those impressions don't really mean anything because your hearing is so like blown up because
Primed.
of
Yeah.
your it's messed up because of all the stuff you're hearing anyway. The other thing that really annoys me is that when the other two things that really annoy me is the first is when booths don't let you have the song of your choice, and they have some like stupid convoluted setup for their one fancy headphone or whatever, and it's just like I don't
They're
know,
playing
like
binaural recordings, and you're like, oh my
yeah,
God, this is quite the experience.
exactly. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever, right? The other thing that really annoys me, and I was trying to make a video out of this, was people at the booth don't tell when their customers have their headphones on backwards. It
What?
really pisses me off. And I had a video I was trying to film where like I go around to the different booths and I purposefully wear the headphones backwards and see if anyone would call me out. And to be fair, I didn't actually expect anybody to do so because, I don't speak Chinese. But it's still like one of those things where it's like you literally have the guy from Hi-Fi Man watching the guy in front of him sit down and have the head, and it's not like one of those headphones where it's like so ambiguous, like you can't tell. There's literally like a curve on it, right? So it's like there's no way you miss that
Yeah.
it's on
Well,
backwards.
the cables are coming out the front. If
Yeah,
it's on
exactly,
correctly,
right?
so it would be going out the back.
Yeah. So like they're like legit, like I would go up to people at booths and like tap them on the shoulder, like, hey, you got your headphones on backwards, right? And a lot of them were like polite about it, but it just like blows my mind that nobody would
And it
say
does change the
anything.
sound if you have the angle, right? Like the other
Depends
way.
on the headphone, but yeah.
Depends on the headphone, yeah, of course.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, I was trying to film this joke about like how if I wear Bayer headphone backward, will it like
Sounds
Oh,
better.
help
No, you
prevent
have
the
to wear it
brightness?
inside out. You have to wear it
Yeah,
inside out, and then it'll
inside
come
out.
through.
Yeah,
There you go.
the cup's pointing outward.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I think overall I felt like the best thing I got out of it, I think, was making more connections with the Chinese audience. I felt, and not just Chinese audience, sorry, the Chinese industry members, because I think the biggest thing for me, kind of going in, was I felt like a lot of these manufacturers that we work with, they do seem like a bit of faceless entities. Like, here, have some IEMs to review, have some headphones to review, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know if people know this, but as reviewers, some companies do tell us like, oh yes, we would like this review to be like positive or whatever, right? But majority of the times they don't say anything.
Most
They
of them
They're
do
just
not
like,
give
care.
you gear,
Yeah.
right? It's really funny because there's this impression, I think, that people have this, oh yeah, everybody's a paid reviewer. But at least for audio and like the Chinese community specifically, with the Western reviewers, they don't seem to have that expectation. I think if the Chinese, apparently with the Chinese reviewers, what I heard though was that Chinese reviewers don't even look at your stuff unless they get paid to talk about it.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I was talking
interesting.
to Joyce about this, but um and I don't and I'm not I'm not sure if there's something like lost in translation here, but apparently there's not a very big Chinese review scene in terms of like videos. They are very forum related. It's
Hmm.
very, very forum
That
based.
makes sense.
But the shirt that I'm wearing is from the biggest Chinese reviewer. His name is Thousand Cups, or Qian Bei is what they call him. And he's basically like the Chinese Crin. But yeah, he's a fun guy, and if you go there, you see him like on the stage and walking around. It's an interesting show. I think, like I said, I think it's very much like a celebration of the hobby. Instead of these like faceless manufacturers, you get to see like the actual people. Like, for example, I got to meet Cloris,
Oh, cool.
the community manager for Shenzhen Audio, for the first
My
time. Like,
goat.
she's an amazing person, very, very funny lady. I met
Very funny, very
her
sweet.
boss, Sinyu, right? Like, you meet all these people and you see it feels like feels a lot more family run than you might expect, which is quite weird to say. But yeah, so I enjoyed I quite enjoyed the atmosphere, and I definitely want to go back.
Nice, man. Well, I'm glad you had such a good time, and obviously a little bit jealous, but obviously I'll get to go next year.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
You're gonna
hopefully.
come too, right, Andrew?
I'd love to go.
Yeah, all three of us, hopefully, maybe.
I
You better
was. I
actually come
would.
next year.
I would have loved to go this year
Yeah.
if there was time and whatever. Right? Like,
Where did you go again? Like, what was the competing priority?
I don't remember. I feel like I was away for something.
Yeah.
You
that's
were,
why.
yeah. I don't remember
Yeah.
what it was either, but
Yeah.
All right, well,
Griff,
let's
did
move on.
you're
go
gonna go to AES, right? That was the other priority that you had.
That already happened.
No, that happened in
Oh.
Helsinki. That's what I thought Griffin was going to go to, and
I did
Blaine.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Olive was presenting a thing there, or apparently he. I don't know if he was just trolling me on Twitter about this, but basically it was supposed to be about to say that AI can replace AI can't
That
replace
wasn't the
reviewers.
actual topic of the
He said
thing.
that
I
there was
think
a slide there.
there was
in
a
his
slide in it,
presentation.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't think. Yeah,
I hope that wasn't the actual topic. But
it was not.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on. we have news and impressions. So Andrew, you wanted to talk about the concert you went to.
Yeah, last night I went to see Esperanza Spalding, and so for those, most people haven't seen the video we put out on Friday. People just
Yeah,
weren't
no
interested
one
in
watched that.
that. But that's okay. It was giving song recommendations, and one of them was an Esperanza Spalding duet song. I'm a big fan. I've been a fan of hers since 2016. Since I got the recommendation from Tile Hertzens.
Oh, it was Tile that turned you on to
Yeah,
it?
yeah, exactly. Um, and because I remember like I had to look at like when that album came out, the one that I first yeah
Was it
became
Emily's
aware
The
of her.
Evolution that you?
Yeah, it was, and that
Oh,
was the one from
that was your
Tile.
first Esperanza Spalding
It
album.
was, yeah. But
Very
then of
interesting
course
entry to her catalog.
yeah, but that was also in 2016, right? So when it first
Right,
came
yeah.
out. So then went down the rabbit hole, and yeah, she's just a musical genius. Like
Yep.
I could not have been more impressed. Well, so here's the thing: the venue was a much more intimate setting. Like it wasn't one of these big, concert hall things. It was a
Nice.
more intimate venue. At least that was the sense that I got.
No, I mean that's the kind of
Um,
room you want to see her in.
yes, and there was no opening act. It was just like this, just Esperanza. That's it, and her band obviously. But she played a lot of the songs that I was familiar with, which was great. If I had one criticism of the whole thing, it's that even still, it's like they had the setup for like the audio setup there for trying to project a rock band when what she was
Mm,
doing was like she is a virtuoso bass player, right? And I felt like it was kind of hard to hear some of the bass stuff she was doing coming through.
rough.
um, yeah, but that's not to say that the overall audio was bad. I think actually the overall audio was quite a bit better than what you get with typical concerts. Um,
I'm not
so
familiar. Is there a backing like rock style band with her, or is she a
so
solo act with the
so this is
bass?
the thing. It
Probably
is in the
jazz, more
category
like.
of jazz, but
Yeah.
going to this concert, it was really hard to think this is like there were definitely moments where like this is jazz, but so there were so many different things going on with what she was doing. Like the live performance is not like the recordings. Like it's
Hmm.
there's a song, I think it's touch something touch from 12 Little Spells. It's the one about touch, and it's a great song, but the recording of it, like the album version of it, is more of a kind of a straightforward breathy style vocal going on with a little bit of falsetto, and it's just a very it's a nice song, one of my
It's hard to
favorite
do that
ones.
stuff live though
But
and feel like you're
well,
putting energy into the room.
but that's the thing is live, it was like she was belting it. It was a
Yeah.
totally, and it added so much to the experience. And also there were moments where it was like there were interludes of like you could tell it's like okay, now they're just playing for one another, like the musicians are just having conversations with music and it's fun for them. And those are the moments where very much like it's that goes into the jazz territory a lot more.
I mean, do you feel like do you feel like the album version is just overproduced then? Because they have to stick by
I feel like the album version's trying to be overly accessible,
yeah.
Mm,
or trying to make it well, trying to her stuff gets into weirdness territory if she had her druthers, and I feel like the album versions are like kind of trying to curtail that a little bit
Hmm.
to be able to make it more presentable in a way, or at
yeah.
least for that particular song.
Mm,
uh but also like I gotta say, like, so much of the performance was like controlled chaos in the best of ways, and you can tell that um so it's not just that she's a jazz musician, right? Like she has a command over music. And for anybody who's like a deep music nerd on like music theory, music history, this was a show for that person
yeah.
because there were
Before Jacob
prog
Collier
elements.
existed, she was like the
She
jazz
is
Jesus.
I
Yeah.
had it in my head. I was like, this is like Jacob Collier. This is the kind of thing that Jacob Collier does.
Yeah.
And but there were prog elements, rock elements. There was like a Bobby McFerrin style vocal thing going on that she did. There was okay. There were okay. I'm not a fan of like Steve Reich and modernism kind of stuff, but like there were moments in what she was playing that was very much inspired by different trains and some of that more weird, I shouldn't do like prepared piano, but she did some of these piano tracks where the movements and the and the composition reminded me of that stuff in a way where it was. I mean, it was a lot better than Steve Reich. Let's be real. Not a fan of Steve Reich, but it reminded me of so much of like the things that I've learned through music history over the years. That I had this feeling that I hadn't had since going to Cuba and seeing the Cuban musicians, where it's like, this is just a musical genius who has command over music and creativity with music like nobody else. And again, in that moment, I was reminded so much of Jacob Collier, and I thought, like, they need to do something together, because like that's I
I'm
don't know if
surprised
need
they
to.
haven't, if anything.
Yeah, that's more. I'm surprised they haven't, right? Because
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing
because they both collaborate with a
with
bunch
other
of
people. Yeah.
yeah.
And the description I'll give of this is, this was if Snarky Puppy had a purpose. You know, like
Ooh, shots
I'm a
fired,
fan.
rightfully
I'm a
so.
fan of Snarky Puppy, to be clear. But you know how a lot of their stuff, you hear it and you're like, okay, there's nothing. This is just musicians having fun, and there's nothing. You know, there's no deep cut to this.
Rev up the auto wank machine.
Yeah, yeah,
This is what like a lot
yeah,
of the like modern jazz
yeah.
fusion rock stuff
Exactly.
reminds
And you can
me
tell
of.
they're incredible musicians, and they
Yeah, oh,
are brilliant.
fearless.
But
They're
at the same
insane,
time,
but
there
the
is
music just
no.
isn't.
Yeah. And this is like, it just inject. It's like, imagine you injected purpose into that. And that was what the experience was like. It was awesome.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, highly recommend that.
Would
Nice.
you have preferred it if she was solo, like a
No.
solo bass? Okay.
No, I don't. I mean, like, that would have been cool too, but no. I mean, she did
She could
some
own
things
that.
that were solo, right? Like, she did piano thing solo. She did a vocal thing solo. But no, her band is good too.
Yeah.
Her band, like the drummer, what he lacked in sort of like the technical chops, like he wasn't like like super fast or flashy drummer or anything, but he had a
Good. So
lot of
he was a good drummer.
he was a good drummer and had a lot of creativity.
Very good
Um,
tonality.
and really just rock solid on the beat when he needed to be, right? That kind of thing.
Nice.
There was a keyboard player who also was a saxophone player, so like he'd get up from the keyboard and then get on the saxophone.
Nice.
And then there's an electric guitar player as well doing the jazz chords. I felt the tone of the guitar was really nice, but I felt it was a little bit too loud in the mix, whatever they were doing, which would occasionally clash a little bit with Esperanza's vocal. But actually, Esperanza's vocal was the best audio bit in the house for sure. Like, her vocal was, when she was coming through, it was coming through.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I'm not super into jazz, because I feel like what you were talking about with Snarky Puppy earlier, where it's
Yeah,
like
that's
a lot of. I feel like I don't know. I'm more like the classic like pop rock kind of guy, where like you
Sure.
have a structure and whatever, right? So a lot of the jazz records end up being like, I'm just listening to like someone playing notes, and it's
Yeah.
just
but
pure self-indulgence turned up
yeah,
to 100 at
yeah.
all times is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
fun to listen to for me.
Yeah.
But I did hear Hiromi live. Are you guys familiar with Hiromi? The
Yes,
pianist?
yes. Yeah.
She came to Toronto one day, and she had a little like session in Indigo. Like out of nowhere, just a little like very intimate session at
I
Indigo.
assume it's just a little club.
Hmm?
Indigo, I assume, is just a little club.
Oh, Indigo is like a bookstore, like like
Oh,
Capitol.
I've
cool.
seen
Okay.
those types of things.
Yeah, just a big old bookstore, right? So there was a grand piano, and then she went there.
Used to
And
be
I walked.
chapters.
Yeah, yeah, it used to be, yeah. So I just walked in. It was free. I walked in. I mean, there was paid seating sections, but I just walked in. I actually sat closer to a piano than I think most people did, because I just like went behind like the whatever. And it was great because there was obviously that musical element to it, the jazziness to it, but also what I really liked was there's a lot of structure to
Yeah.
it. You could hear a lot of
Mhm.
like the motifs were very clear coming through, and there were you could see the vision, versus like I feel like some songs are very like, where am I going, right?
Lost in the sauce.
But
Yeah.
I listened to the actual recording after, and I don't know if I prefer the actual recording, because I do feel like maybe there is a bit of the element of like overproduction in a
Mhm.
way,
Mhm.
versus just her being like a live solo act, and her recording has like a few other elements added to it, and I'm like, I don't know if I enjoyed it. But yeah, no, that's sort of my brush of jazz, if you will.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
when I went there, so I'm obviously into jazz, and I like the weird stuff too, right? My girlfriend is not into jazz at all, and she was in tears, like the good kind, not the
Yeah, no,
horrendous performance.
Esperanto is absolutely like
Yeah. Like if you're
where
not
the
like
non-jazz
she does
people
get
find
into
enjoyment.
she does get into some of the more esoteric stuff for sure. Like it's not all easy listening. Like none of it is actually easy listening, but it is stuff that it does blend that stuff with the accessible, or it makes it more accessible
Mhm.
to people who are not necessarily jazz people. Um, I recommend there's a song called Judas on Emily's D Plus Evolution. I recommend that one as a starting point because it does give you kind of like a lot of the range of the stuff, but also the one it's called Touch in Mine or something like that. Um, yeah, that's probably one of the more accessible ones that she does. And of course, she has really popular ones as well that many people who are into music generally may have heard, like Black Gold and what's the song?
Yeah, like all of the Radio Music Society album is pretty damn accessible, like
Yeah.
R&B
Oh, she does
tinged.
cover a Michael Jackson cover. I didn't realize it was a Michael Jackson cover, but in that one.
Oh yeah, it's Can't Help It.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Fang, the hips one, is
Mm.
is well known as well.
Yeah.
And I Know You Know, I think, is one of the more
Yeah,
popular
that's
ones.
from the first album?
First one. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I
one of
think
the
that was
first
probably
ones.
the first song of hers I heard actually.
Yeah.
That bass line intro is fucking killer, dude.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. I mean, I had some IEMs that Mark sent me that I want to talk about. Some of them are less interesting. Like he sent me the Moondrop LAN, which is like a $25 or $20 IEM in like the Chew style.
You can have a LAN party.
Super comfortable, super comfortable. Small. Don't love the cable, but as like an alternative to the Gate with a slightly different treble profile, I think it's fine. It has less lower treble but more upper treble. I prefer the Gate because I'm more tolerant of lower than upper. So totally fine option though as an alternative. He also sent me the Moondrop Cadence, which is like their follow-up to the Kato or Kato.
I've heard the Cadence.
You have the Cadence?
No, I've heard it, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, a while ago. It's not a new one. It's
no, it's been out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is not the stock cable. This is the new Titan S2 cable, I think. I don't really like it. He mainly sent it to me because he wanted my take on the technicalities of it all.
Of course. You're Mr. Technicality.
There is something interesting about this one though, in that the bass hits super fucking hard. Like it is like harder hitting than like the Soft Ears Volume S or
Soft Ear Volume S basses. It's okay. In my opinion, it's okay.
I mean, it would depend on the unit you heard. I feel like I'm kind of in a weird spot because mine measures with less bass than basically everyone's.
But
the bass is not the issue though. It's the mids.
Textured.
The mids are the weird thing about it that I don't like.
The volume.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the that's the same.
But who cares about the mids,
has, right?
Right?
It's like, it's got that shout, it's got that honk.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sound natural or normal. It only sounds that way if you have enough bass to balance it, which this one kind of doesn't. But because of that, it just comes across as super snappy and hard hitting and engaging. I wouldn't really recommend it to people who want a normal listening experience, but if you don't like a lot of bass and you want your bass instruments to hit incredibly hard, it's a fairly decent option for that. I don't know the price of it, but
it's in the Cadence. Let me look it up.
Okay, now the more interesting ones, the ones I was personally more excited to hear. The Afu Explorer.
Awful. You're exploring awful.
Which pros, most comfortable like hybrid IEM shell I think I may have ever worn. That's like traditional like this. That's like, it's small, it's well molded. The nozzle is kind of on the long side, but it's not chunky at all. I really, really enjoy the fit of it. The downside is I thought I was going to enjoy this because the narrative around it is that kind of like a dark IEM. It's like, if you have extremely narrow bore tips on it, it's dark in the upper treble, but it has a 10K peak. If you don't have narrow bore tips on it, it's actually a little bit bright in the, typical IEM 12K, whatever, 13K region. But then it's also just like one of the weirdest, most confusing tunings under that point. Like it's got a lot of bass and it's got a 1K emphasis, which would be like normal enough, but then it dips the presence region by like a lot. Like the upper gain, or sorry, the ear gain and lower treble from like 3K to 6K is like super recessed.
Mhm.
So like it's very, very warm, only balanced by a forward 1K region. But it just makes it so like the timbre is really confused. Like it has this forwardness and kind of like clackiness to guitars and drums, but like it's warm and lacking texture and muddled and very just weird sounding. This is the one of this group that I had the highest hopes for, and it ended up being one of my least favorites because it just sounds incredibly incoherent and weird, which is a shame because it's like cheap. It's like under $100, I think, and super
And, like,
comfortable. But sorry, what?
I just thought it was 200, but no, I think you're right. It's 100 something. Did you hear the Moondrop Meteor?
No, I didn't.
Have
I
you heard
haven't
it,
yet,
Andrew?
So
Did they send
Nope.
one to you?
Nope.
no. And then the two other ones I have are
Griffin curates my IEM acquisition.
yes. Yeah, they didn't put the Helmholtz resonator of Meteor at 6K, so there was no point
Exactly.
in
So you're like,
it.
nope, not happening. He's
Yeah.
gonna hate it.
Okay, so the two other ones are the most interesting ones for different reasons. So this is the Zen's Mangard Top Pro,
Oh,
that one.
yeah.
and this is, I think, the only IEM in this like group of IEMs that I would say just like outright is a bad IEM and sucks, and you shouldn't buy it.
What?
People are gonna hate you for saying that. That's a darling. People love that IEM.
I
Yeah,
don't
people
care.
love it.
This thing
What?
sounds
So why
so
did you
much
like
weirder
it?
than I thought it was going to sound. And like the things that people are saying are good about it are the exact things I think are bad.
That you don't
It's
like.
the
Yeah,
Top
the
Pro,
treble.
right? You're talking about Top
Oh
Pro.
no, I was
Yeah.
talking about the bass. Like people keep
Oh.
saying this thing is like a it's got like slamming punchy bass, and it's like
Watch
it's
my impressions on it.
fluffy
Watch
and
my impressions. The bass, it has this. I called it a grumble, right? Where it's like this.
it
It's
doesn't though.
no, a
It doesn't
grumble
have
in a sense.
anything.
Oh, what are you talking about?
It's just
But that's
just
what I'm. That's what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's this. It's
oh,
kind of
okay.
like this.
I think I was associating grumble with grunt, which is
No,
grunt is a good thing,
no,
grumble is a bad
no,
thing.
no, no, no. Exactly. A grumble is like a complaint. It is a complaint of bass.
Right.
Yes. But see, it also does that mid range kind of forwardness thing, which I kind of liked.
No.
I kind of liked it.
No. So like the bass stinks. It's fluffy, pillowy, soft. All the things I don't like about bass. And I don't know who likes this
Bad
about
No,
bass.
I know
Yes.
who likes this. Many
Anyway.
people like this.
Anyway, the mids are fine actually. Like I wouldn't say they're good, but I didn't have any issue with like a 2K thing. It was just like even though it like looks new meta on a measurement, kind of, I got that sense of like kind of overwhelming low mid range de-emphasis that like Harman sets kind of do have.
Mhm.
I wouldn't necessarily call it like shouty or anything though. It was more so just like it felt like the bass was here, but then all of the voices were like here, but not in an appealing way. And then yeah, the treble just sucks.
There was no scenario we're gonna like that
yo,
treble.
there's no chance I liked the treble of this, but there are
Uh,
plenty of IEMs where like the treble is like mediocre.
Yeah.
This is not one of those times. Like I
So-
don't sense any part of the treble presence here that is like good. Like the lower treble is scratchy and weird. The upper treble is too forward. But honestly, this is one of the rare cases where the lower treble actually bothered me more.
Then the upper treble. Interesting.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
I tried it with a bunch of tips, and funny enough, Mark actually sent it to me with spring tips, which kind of
Oh.
tells me what his problem with the IEM was, because spring tips are
Spring
only
tips.
ever defensible when you need to cut a lot of treble. #dusk. But this thing just, I don't even know how much it costs, but however much it costs is probably too much.
It costs 500, I think,
Oh my god!
roughly, something like
3
that.
to 500.
By daybreak, just by daybreak.
See,
Okay,
but
and then
this is the thing.
What's up?
That IEM has been compared favorably to the Subtonic Storm.
Okay, I would say it has
by
very similar issues to the Subtonic Storm.
by
actually.
fairly large reviewers. I'm just saying. So like, there are
Okay,
people who like
whoever
this.
this reviewer is, I just don't agree with them. So that's fine.
I also didn't agree. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 because it does
that
do.
is so generous. Jesus Christ. 7 out of 10 is like the top of my ranking list. That's
Oh yeah,
like,
that's fair. If we're going with
it's like,
if we're going with if we're going with the new ranking list, I would say probably closer to like 5.
yeah, it's like
If you
a
compared to like other people's ranking
3
lists,
something
it's
or a
closer to
4
7.
for me, I think.
Yeah. I get what
Um,
you're saying.
This is the most interesting one. This is the Moondrop Illustrious, which is a single dynamic driver
It's like
in
$2,000, isn't
a
it?
extremely well vented design. So this is very well front vented. I don't know if you could see. It's like in
Wait,
this.
Illustrious? Is this like a new version of the Illumination?
Yes, yeah. It's
Ah,
their new take on that, and it's tuned better.
I got it.
So it's got kind of a big nozzle with some damping in the front there. I don't know if you could see that very well.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Henry. To be clear, I never reviewed the Top Pro. I just did I listened to it and gave an impression, like live.
I actually
Sorry.
didn't remember if you liked it or not. I actually thought you liked it, but yeah, it's an
Like,
IEM, so I guess I should have known.
It's not. Yeah, like I would not have I wouldn't choose it, but I could see the things that people liked about it, and I did find it to be more detailed sounding than others. 'Cause it had tons of treble.
Or is saying 1.4, take it or leave it. No, 1.4 is like the absolute bottom, like doesn't work. Like Top Pro is like a 3 or a 4, somewhere in that neighborhood.
If you're
It
not using
plays
a compressed
audio
scale, yeah, it's
intelligibly. It's
You guys
just
just aren't
not
hearing
good.
the technicalities, bro.
yeah, that's all.
I
That's
didn't even
all.
think it was good for those things though. Like the bass slam was just not there. Like the detail was
Well, this
not
is you know what this
impressive.
is though. The problem here is a uh, preference, obviously, but B, the bigger problem in this is private language. So like what you are
The
associating with.
biggest problem is cope. You are severely underestimating cope.
I don't
Um,
think that people. No, I don't think. I think that's wrong. People who like it, like people who are,
Oh yeah,
you know,
are not coping.
they're
I
not
was just saying
coping.
more
They
broadly
genuinely like it.
in
They
terms
just
of the
might have
biggest
bad taste.
problems.
What?
I was just saying more broadly in terms of the biggest problems, not.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see. Not
specific
really. Yeah.
things.
In this instance, though, it's the idea would be whether or not people have good taste, or how people are associating meaning to different qualities, right? Like for like what I just said. Like for me, like if there's what I heard at least was I called it a grumble in the bass, but that could mean something. Somebody could associate something positively
Oh, it's
with that.
philosophy time.
That really, it's what it is, right?
I'm
It's
moving
not
on.
It's
I'm moving on
it's
because this is
Wittgenstein
the most
side.
interesting one. This is the most
It's
interesting
Wittgenstein
one.
side.
Because it's so well vented, it's like the only IM I've ever experienced where like I can feel how open it is, and I can feel like some difficulty in like, how when you're like trying to seat an IM correctly, you wait until you feel the pressurization to know that you've gotten a seal. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen with this, so you just have to kind of like assume you've gotten a seal.
Is it super lightweight as well?
I mean, it's like a full metal shell, so like it's very small though. So like not really, but like
Okay.
What's
That
the
was
what's
one
the driver
thing.
size?
like it's not huge. So
Yeah.
But anyway, it has a warm kind of tuning. It's almost like a Soft Ears Volume S if you didn't have the upper mid range forwardness. So it's like quite a bit looser, and maybe even like a little bit more neutral in the mid range because of that. But it's definitely like still kind of warm bright, where it's got an extra kind of bloat to it in the like 200 hertz region, and then
Not
there's a
for me,
little
then.
bit of lower treble forwardness as well.
Not for me.
Not for you. No, definitely
Andrew
not for you in terms of sound. But I found as an EQ not profile, platform. Thank you. It was actually really good. And it was one of the most comfortable IMs I've worn, not only because the
Yeah,
shell is very small
but
and worked well, but because of it.
Don't you know EQ is cope?
So true. That's what I'm saying though. So important. Such an unmissable factor.
Cope is important. Yeah.
Very important. But I really enjoyed using it. The stock cable kind of sucks. I think this is the stock cable, so I wouldn't recommend using it with the stock cable. But yeah, I found myself really enjoying using it. Even without EQ, I was able to kind of enjoy it. I actually think the bass, even though it's like too fluffy, or not fluffy, what's the word? Overbearing, I guess I'll say. It still has decent texturing to it. I think because of the low treble that gets brought to the very upper end of electric basses and kick drum attack. I wouldn't really recommend this IEM to most people. It's very expensive. I think it's like $900 or $1,000, but I think it's one of the few IEMs that like does something different and interesting and like doesn't sound bad. So if you want something kind of novel and, you know, maybe even just like pretty, because I do think it looks quite nice, even though it's kind of a fingerprint magnet, and you want to try something that has like full venting, I think it's worth a shot. I don't think most people will like it stock, but as an EQ profile or EQ platform, I think it is interesting. I will say, do not use 7-Eleven measurements of this IEM. It's not that it's more off. It's actually less off than a traditional IEM that has a full seal. But because it's less off, all of the targets people now use for 7-Eleven couplers are not going to work.
The compensation is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the rare case where you really need 5128 data. So I would.
This is why I say you don't even show targets. You just give raw data.
Just raw data, no context.
Raw data. If you don't have a target memorized and you can't compensate it in your head, you shouldn't be looking at graphs.
This is a base take. What the fuck? That is a very base take.
Just go full Jude.
Yeah. Like what are we do? What are we doing here? You know, if you don't have it memorized, just you're not haven't been looking enough in graphs. You know, you gotta study some more.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it for my impressions. Overall, nothing breaks the territory of like being a 6, really.
Got it.
Out of 10, but
should we release that info that we are doing an overhaul to and launch of
yeah. So I guess
ratings?
we can do it here because this is just the core crowd, so they deserve a little something.
Yeah.
We're doing ranking lists, all of us. I don't know if Caleb is gonna do his. We're still in discussions about that, but
we'll see.
At minimum, I have convinced Andrew and Cameron to do ranking lists.
Well, hold on. You didn't convince me of anything. I suggested this.
Well, I guess my question is why hadn't you been? Wait, you suggested I had been doing it, and then I told you about it.
I didn't know you had been doing it because I'd been doing it as well, like ages ago. We'd both been doing it independently. I suggested this to Ryan because
wait, how long ago?
Ages ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but you had a methodology that, you created the spreadsheets and the methodology. So we're going to be moving forward with this. But the big thing about this is that it's not going to be the compressed scale, right? Because for a lot of the ratings and rankings that are out there, there's an expectation that if something gets, 7 out of 10, it's a bad product. 9 out of 10, it's a good product. And then those are the only, it's like the IGN scales, right? It's like, those are the only, you may as well not use the rest of the 1 to 7, right?
Yeah.
And with this, we're going to be ensuring that we use the full range or in trying to ensure that we use the full range. And what that's going to look like or what it's going to result in is that products that we like, that we genuinely like, getting 6s and 7s. Because there is still more goodness available above that.
10 is not the best product available. It should never be that.
10,
because better things will come out.
Well, 10 is reserved for EQ. 9 is reserved for EQ.
I would say in terms of an overall score, probably, yeah.
I'm not going to put anything in 9 and 10 because that's a product, right? Like for sound quality without EQ, it's just not doable.
Yes. Henry or Henri, comfort is one of the factors that will be rated.
Yes.
There will be a sound score. There will be an overall score. I don't know if all of us are going to do comfort. I don't know if Cameron was interested in doing that. I will have that on mine.
I'll have comfort on mine as well.
Yeah. 10 is not for HD600 only. HD600 is like a
6
or 5 on my list. I think it's like a 5.5 or something.
Yeah.
So
but see, when you say that, for people who don't understand what a non-compressed scale might look like, that's weird, right? Because like, wait, I thought it was this legendary headphone. It's supposed to be amazing, and everybody recommends it. It's like, yeah, it's a 6.
It
Like,
is a 5.5.
sound quality can be quite a bit better still. Like sound quality, the things, what's possible, right, is
The
quite a bit better still.
technicalities can be better.
Yeah, sure. But also from like,
That's
like
really what's
anything,
holding it back.
yeah. But anything
Yeah.
like on the objective side can be better too in many different ways, right? You could have better bass
Yes.
extension. You can have, fewer colorations.
Every part of
potentially,
it could be improved.
Yeah, you could, so like the fact that it's a good product doesn't make it a 9 out of 10. It makes it a 6.
But 5.5 is where that's sitting right now. But yeah, Andrew, I've actually we're going to talk about this behind the scenes because I've actually kind of not adjusted how I am doing it, but there's an element that I didn't really make explicit to you that I feel like I don't think you've gone in and started doing it yet, so that's fine. But that I think you should consider when you're building the list.
Sure.
So we'll talk about that. But
yeah,
that is
we have.
for all of you.
The thing is with this, we do have some different methodologies. The only thing consistent about this is non-compressed scale.
Non-compressed, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why mine may or may not make it. Because well, one, I'm being very lazy, and I have other stuff that I want to do instead of sitting down and ranking stuff I haven't
It's a
heard
lot of
in
headphones.
years.
A lot of headphones and IEMs, by the way. Yeah.
The other thing is that my scale goes into the negatives, or it goes past
That's
10.
so based though.
So it's a very different way of looking at things.
A lot
and
of
I'm
X
not very
factor, right?
compatible with what
Like
we have.
Yeah, like this one, this headphone, it's so bad that it gave me leukemia. My life is forever altered. So now it's that's the negative part of the scale. It's changed the rest of the ranking because it's so bad.
Someone asked for my pure ranking. 7.2 overall, 7.8 for sound.
5.
That sounds about right.
4.5. Hexa is probably also 4.5. Yeah.
Hexa is much lower than pure for me. Like the small changes that were made a lot of difference for me, but I don't think it'll make that level of difference for you.
Yeah, no. Well, like they make a difference. It's just that it's a give and a take, right? Like in a way, it'd be like it kind of depends on the genre that I'm listening to.
Yeah,
like
I didn't prefer anything about Hexa, and
Yeah.
like all the people saying like the Hexa has like more clarity or whatever. I don't hear it that way at all.
Yeah,
so
I do.
Yeah.
I think though, if the Pure didn't have that forward 300 hertz section, it would be just flat out unequivocally better because it does reduce.
It was needed to
The 300
offset
hertz?
the 1.5 kilohertz.
Oh, and
thing
that couldn't be
Hexa
changed?
has. Wait, sorry, what?
That couldn't be changed on the Pure?
It's not that it couldn't be changed. It's that with that driver complement
I see.
crossover scheme, there's
Got it.
no real way to offset the 1.5 kilohertz thing other than down tilting the mids enough to do it.
Sure.
How much of the actual like crossover driver selection, electrical work did you do with the Truthfear guy, or did you just give him the
Basically
graph?
none. Basically none. Like most of my consultation was
Just graph?
graph sharing, yeah,
Did
and
you?
ideation more
But
than
the exact drivers used, the crossover points and everything. Did he share that with you?
I know the crossover points. I don't know the exact drivers used.
Okay.
But yeah, I knew what was feasible with the acoustic and electrical scheme.
Yeah, because I actually asked him this question at Shenzhen, because I actually think the Pure has.
You met him.
Yeah, I did. He's a cool guy.
I didn't know he was so good looking. I was genuinely thrown off by this. That is a handsome man.
Yeah, he's married though. Sorry for you. But I asked him this question because I think the Pure is one of the few IEMs in recent memory, and I would say the best thing about the Pure is that it got the treble really right. It's one of the very few IEMs that I know, Andrew, you've had some scrungles about it,
using his own word,
how it fits or whatever. But
well, no,
for
the
me,
Pure, the
Pure
treble was notably better than the Hexa.
Oh yeah, for Hexa, yes, but I mean, like you also mentioned, didn't you also talk about how depending on the fit, the tips or whatever, it has like a 6K peak or something for you.
Oh, but that's just all IEMs,
That's
like
him.
length
Yeah,
modes.
yeah, yeah.
That's not a
Yeah.
pure problem. That's a him
Yeah.
problem.
So, but for me, I felt that the pure out of most IEMs in recent memory, it got the treble quite right without being exaggerated. So it still has, it doesn't have that upper treble like shimmeriness, over shimmer. It doesn't have but it also doesn't sound like overly like dampened, which is what I hate the most. I feel like if you're gonna talk about treble, you should have more treble. Like if you're gonna do treble, you should celebrate brightness versus like trying to pour water on it.
You had
But
me there
anyway,
for a second, but
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 I
yeah,
asked
how did
him.
this
I asked
relate to
him
the
this question
engineering?
because I was curious. Is that is there a reason why a lot of manufacturers don't do treble in the way like the Pure did? Because my thinking was this: is
Technicalities.
this something? Well, but see, I wouldn't say that the Pure's technicalities, at least in the treble, is necessarily worse though. Like it's
It's not
still,
worse.
to me, it's fine, right? Like there are other parts about it that I would say could have been, like, technicality could have been better, but the treble is really far down the list in terms of things that
I
are
yeah,
holding it.
I have a theory as to why. I don't know if this is a conscious thing or this is just the way that it turns out, but I get the sense that if you do add the extra presence, let's say, that you commonly
Mhm.
see with IEMs in the upper frequencies, that has the consequence of masking various different problem areas below that. So it's not just that it's, oh, people have this sense, they attach meaning somehow to the upper treble as like extra detail or whatever. It's also that it's far more difficult to notice the imbalances, or the imbalances get heard as, tasteful colorations rather than untasteful ones. um and that could get interpreted as technicalities as well,
What did
right?
he
See,
say in response, though?
I'm I'm not convinced about that because I
Me
feel
neither.
like
Yeah.
I've heard
To be clear, I
IEM.
don't think they are doing that necessarily
Mhm,
intentionally. I think that's just how it ends up being how they hear it. So they're
mhm.
not as like bothered by this trend.
So I have a somewhat similar-ish take, but in a slightly different direction. But first, I'm gonna get to my point about asking
Sure.
the trivia engineer is that I was curious, can other manufacturers, if they wanted to, do what he did with the treble? And his answer to me, like, is it just him having some sort of special sauce knowledge to do it, or can other people do it? And his answer to me was that they can. Like he feels like everyone else can. They just don't, right? I think the I think you bring up a good point, Andrew, about the peakiness, or rather like how that upper treble extension or whatever masks certain things. I feel like it's less. I would say it's less about um, the fact that it just has extension, because I would say a lot of IEMs don't actually have proper extension. They have peaks, but
Peaks.
it's not like an actual like a properly well done, like, yes, I'm gonna have even smooth treble all the way up, right? It's
Mhm.
just random peaks that probably is because they couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. It's my assumption,
Well,
right?
it's one of the things about playing a driver in a tube. It's that
Yeah, right. Like
You get
you're not
those
going to get
it's
that
patterns.
behavior.
but
Yeah.
well, and once again, that's why I asked the Truvia guy, is it how did he manage to do it? And is it his special sauce that he knows how to do and no one else does? But like I said, what surprised me was that he thinks everyone else can do it. They just currently aren't, right? And to your point, Andrew, about how it's a bit it masks certain colorations. I feel like the more I listen to, quote unquote new meta and the different versions of new meta, I feel like in my mind there's a thing about like how when something is meant to be, you know, dead neutral or pure white, you start noticing when it's slightly off white, right? But if it's already intentionally
Mhm.
not white, if it's intentionally colored, you don't notice the fact that it's slightly less colored or something, you know?
Well, yes, and also if you think about like the nature of IEM design, like the the nature of the use condition of an IEM, right? And you are, say you're developing an IEM and you're trying to get a sense of how people hear this product. um the issue that you're going to run into is that the pinna assumption is going to cause more variability in terms of how people actually hear these things, conjecture, but definitely the length mode resonance being in different spots is going to have this as a consequence as well. So if you just blam on a ton of or whatever, like put whatever in that upper treble band, whether it's a peak or an elevation, your ratio of positive impressions is going to be higher because those other features are going to be less heard. So I think it's like it's a way to account for that variability problem to do with the nature of the device, because now the attention is going more to the extremes of the spectrum rather than where any of those potential problem areas that are there as a function of not necessarily the tuning of the IEM, but the actual variability of human anatomy reside. That's my sense of it. And again, I don't think this is intentional. I think this is just the consequence of it being a safer choice to do this, right? For how people hear these things.
Sorry, you're saying that if they just add more treble and then
it's safer than the alternative. Like,
gotcha.
I think where the Pure, so the Pure is a good example of this. The Pure is one where I would say they got the treble right.
Mhm.
For me, it's still very much a problem because of the length mode issues being in at around 6.1 kilohertz. So as an IEM designer, what are you supposed to do about that? Right? Like if
Damn.
you're sending this out to whoever and you don't know the shape and the length of their ear canal, which you probably don't, and you're trying to design it for a broad range of people who are going to have different sizes and shapes to their ear canal, different sizes and shapes to their ear, meaning the pinna effects of their HRTF are going to be different as well. How do you do this? Well, you don't. you're going to make a choice. Either you're going to tune it for what you think is the largest group, completely alienating those who have these problems, right? Or you're going to make the safer choice of slapping on a bunch of upper treble to cause people's attention to go to that range and have it mask some of these problems where it would be a variability issue. And not everybody is going to be like listener who is particularly is like, if there's extra 10K, it's like, fuck, it's not necessarily, or say above that even, right? Like the outcome might be that it's a safer choice to put more energy there because you're effectively creating a coloration that you think you can bank on a little bit more easily.
See, so I get what you're saying, but in my head, I feel like people who are making a lot of these IEMs aren't putting that level of intentionality.
Again, I don't think
their
it's
design.
intentional. I don't think it's intentional. I think it's more just like, how does this sound to you? And you're going to get more positive, more favorable answers if you have this kind of masking going on than if you don't, right? You're going to have less objectionable. Like, again, if you had a
Mhm.
Pure and I'm there in the room and they're saying, how does this sound? I'm going to say it's kind of harsh in the treble,
Mhm.
right? But whereas if that had more upper treble, you're less likely to get that,
But I would say we're not talking about just whether there's more upper treble, right? I would say I would say there's two distinct camps in the way that treble is done in a lot of IEMs. The first is where the vast majority of IEMs currently lie, like I'd say 90 to 95% of them,
Yeah.
which is we don't really know how to control the treble, so we just whatever is there is whatever you get, right?
Right. But then that's even more reason why they would do it, right? Because they have this sense that people like upper treble, right? Like
No, I'm just saying in general. It's not so much whether or not the reason to do it. It's just the manufacturer does not know how, or they don't want to put the time to actually.
So you think that's just a consequence of the way that the things are tuned for the rest of it, and then it happens to propagate this crazy
Yes.
upper treble.
And then IEM consumers are not
Good enough.
they're not good. They're
Well,
not
it's
discerning
it's
enough
not
with their money. If they
it's
didn't
it's
spend on
think
things
of it
that
this
come
way.
across
Look
that way.
at the timeless, right? The 14.8
Yeah.
millimeter driver, right? It's
Yeah,
the
but
same
people
standard
notice that.
driver they slapped into every other IEM,
Yeah.
and one of them just so happened to, and look, they aren't like intentionally like hardcore tuning the treble or anything, right?
Yeah.
One of them just so happened to hit the right balance, I guess, of like that treble
I
shimmer
would,
or whatever
yeah.
that people liked it, right? But my point is that 90 to 95% of IEMs on the market historically, no one some people do some work with the treble to try and like clean it up a bit,
Mhm.
but I would say most of the time it's just a consequence of
The
whatever
consequence of the way that they're doing it, yeah.
the tune, right?
But this goes to Griffin's point, which is if people aren't discerning enough to identify this as a problem, what reason do they have to change it? And that is
It's not
that is
even that they're not discerning enough to identify it as a problem. It's kind of like a
They enjoy it.
circular issue where because the manufacturer is just letting it leave the factory like that, and that has basically been the state of things always.
Mhm.
That's just the expectation. That is not only the expectation, what people think they want.
No, I would say
Ah,
you're half right on that, right? Like I'd say to your point, because it's historically been the case that that is the expectation. Like my expectation is not that that when I get an IEM, my expectation is that the treble will be peaky. If it's a smooth treble like the Pure, now that's something interesting and that's unique. And that's where I would say that why it's actually important or why manufacturers should start
yeah,
moving towards that
you would
because it
think that
creates a point of differentiation, right?
yeah, and you would think that that would be the thing that would propel, the industry to do it differently.
But they are,
Um,
right? Like, so I would say if you look at, I know,
No,
um,
truthier, this is kind of what they're known for. If
yeah.
so
anything, the
Truth
Hexa was
Ear,
the only departure.
I would say the Truth Ear Pure, right? And Hexa to an extent is a bit of departure, except for that, random peak somewhere.
I think the
But I would say
Nova had
the
that in
Pure
the
is,
upper treble.
yeah. So the Pure is it's probably the best example of it. But now that this is something in my mind, right? Like I've been looking back at some of the other IEMs, and there's a surprising number that are starting to smoothen out the treble in a way that it's not just random peaks, right? Like the Zgat Odyssey that I have here. Yes, it's not perfect in the treble, but it's not what we saw 2-3 years ago where it's just like slap something in and you just get random peaks and you deal with it
But
as you come, right?
there is still a trend for, and this is one of the biggest problems with new meta is this, right? Like
Oh, it should.
Griffin,
You know,
you know exactly
New
what I'm
meta
talking
dance.
about.
We're gonna
It's
see
the,
the
this
new
on
meta
TikTok,
dance.
and
no, no,
finally
no.
new
This
meta
is
will become a
no,
trend.
no, no. We the new term, and I fully embrace it. Is U meta. I think we need
Yeah,
U meta.
yeah, and yeah, and that's but we've been complaining about this ever since the beginnings of it. Like it's did so much else right, but because of this, um, it's that I feel has that sort of like trend nature of the whole thing, right? It has um this is to Griffin's point. I think it has caused this circle of inertia again, right? Where now it's like there's an intentional desire to have those kinds of characteristics. I with that said, I do feel like this is having spoken to manufacturers about this as well, and also people like Kryn. There is a sense from them that if you add a bit of brilliance up there, people are likely to receive it as being more technical, right? There is a thought process,
Oh yeah,
even
I
if we
mean,
might disagree.
there's no question about it, right. Like
Yeah,
I agree with it. Whatever you want to call it, right? Like
yeah.
it's you get a little bit more vibrancy, which people may perceive as more clarity, right? Personally, I think that like I like the U meta tuning because in my opinion, when you listen to music, what moves you? It's the bass, right? Like what really moves you, right? Like if you're
The treble.
mixing a
It's
track
the
for
treble.
someone. No. If you're mixing a track for someone, right?
You just
Mixing a track for
delete all
someone.
the bass from something and then just listen to the treble. And as long as the treble is smooth, you're good.
Yeah. No, no,
No,
no.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
If you're mixing a track, like a live track for someone, what are the two things you focus on the most like if you do front of house? For me, the first thing I focus on is um the vocals. Can the audience sing along with it? So you need vocal clarity. And the second thing I focus on is bass. Can I need good quality bass in order to give the rhythm to
And
someone,
I would
which
argue even for most people, bass is even more than vocal clarity.
or yeah, or you can flip the
Absolutely.
order
Yeah,
around, whatever it is, right? But like if you think of it from that perspective, and what is
100%.
the one benefit that IEM has over speakers and headphones? The ability to give really, really good bass, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
Well
you don't
extended
get
bass.
yeah,
well,
yeah.
you don't get the you don't get the displacement that comes with a subwoofer, obviously, right? It's still not as good,
Yeah.
But
but
you also don't get all the modal bullshit. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so for me, I think we need a U meta tuning. And it's the question about how do you
Griffin
balance
hates this
out the
take.
mid-range to get there?
Griffin hates this take. Oh, you mean like to change the mid range to
No,
accommodate the
like,
U?
so I like the new meta mid-range, actually. I was just, you know what? I just pulled out the original Blessing 2 Dusk
Yeah.
just a couple of days ago to listen to it again and see where I'm at with it, right? And yeah, I didn't like it that much. I could hear, more of the glariness and whatnot. But I think for me, I think with the new meta, um, there is, I think it's a great template. I think it's a fantastic template to build your target off on. But I think with a lot of manufacturers, they try to, like I said, they try to get it too close to it, and they're off in a little bit here, a little bit there, and it throws the whole thing off. And I would say the Rockies is sort of an example of that, where the Rockies actually has a very interesting treble. And when I first heard the Rockies, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I'm growing to like it more and more. But its treble is very interesting in that it's very, very extended and a bit elevated, right?
That's
But
my hope, is that it turns
it's
into that.
not peaky at all. Like, I
Yeah.
don't find it peaky at all. It's like, I would describe it as water that's just about to boil. It's just shimmery, or it's just simmering, but it hasn't boiled yet. And that's a very unique
It's
element of it.
like a hot tub that's not too hot.
Yeah, sure, sure. Um, but yeah. So it makes me think, right? Like there's more and more IEMs now that I'm seeing aren't that don't have those random peaks, and I think the industry is actually moving
Yeah.
towards that, which is a great thing for all of us. And now it's just a question of, can
Well,
you balance
I
the rest
guess
of it?
I guess the beginnings of this discussion, I was sort of assuming that you were referring specifically to that really common trend of having mostly solid treble and then one particular fuckery point, or one
No,
or
no, I would say it's actually the reverse. I would say the majority is because the majority of IEMs are just random treble peaks everywhere.
yeah.
It's the rare ones that are,
Well, but the rare
and I
ones make
mean,
up
yeah,
they make up the ones that we talk about commonly, right? Like the
now
ones that don't
nowadays,
have this.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a
Well,
new phenomena, right? Like Andromeda
I was gonna
was
say,
well
and then
known for.
also if you look at the ones in certain price segments, that's still going on, where it's still just like, let's just, who cares?
Yeah,
See, throw something at the wall and see what sticks.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a few thoughts on this take. I mean, I agree that it seems like, and maybe this is the fact that like 5128 has kind of erased one of the peaks from the visual output. Like, we no longer see the length mode peak commonly.
At 8
Like,
kilohertz,
well, yeah,
7
it's also
whatever.
never, it's not always at the same spot anymore. But
Yeah. Oh, I
that
see
is,
what you're saying, because
graphs
everything used
typically
to be.
look smoother in
Yeah,
the lower and mid treble now than they used
yeah.
to. Um, I think those peaks are still there for some people in the low treble. So I
They're
don't
definitely
necessarily
there.
agree
I
that we're
mean,
seeing like less peaks overall. Um, I think a lot of things were said, so I'm trying to condense it all neatly into one thing. But
okay, take for example the Dusk default DSP, right? A
oh
lot of
no,
people
sorry,
like
that's what I was going to say. Sorry, I remember now.
Okay.
I think the solution is actually just not, so like what Caleb was saying, where you want to focus on vocals and bass, like that's fine. I don't know why you would tune like something like the KE4 or the Project Meta or whatever if that is the
Hmm.
priority. Like,
Hmm.
and this is where I think, unfortunately,
Harmon, you could go
Kryn has kind
Harmon
of
and get
backed
that.
himself into a corner a little bit by adopting this as like what
Hmm.
he's trying to tune to now, which is that he likes a lot of bass, and I just think if he wants to tune a lot of bass, he would be better off tuning the way he used to tune.
Old meta.
Yeah, yeah, but like I get why that's not necessarily an easy decision to make when you're running a business, and there's this new trend that isn't necessarily
okay,
completely in your
But
control.
do you think Kryn doesn't like the current IEMs he's
No,
tuning?
no, no,
'Cause-
I do. I just think he wants more bass than I think most people are going to find appropriate that aren't him.
But
All right, I have a que- I have a-
his own target, his own IEF preference 2025. It's not crazy bass. I would
Yes,
add more
it is.
bass.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's insane to me.
no,
Um,
but hear me out. Like, or here's this question for you, Griffin. Do you think that it's impossible to tune something that has new meta mids ish, like new meta ear gain, let's say mids and ear gain, with the kind of bass that Kryn wants? Do you think it's a requirement for that kind of bass to have a more old meta style?
No, I don't. No, I don't think it's a requirement. I just think you're going to get the results in people's listening impressions that you're going to get, which is a lot of people saying
No,
it's
but
low
okay,
tech.
you know what I mean though. Like for people to find it palatable for those things, right?
Well, palatable is the thing that most people agree on.
Okay,
Like
but
with
again,
this trend of tuning, they're fine. You know,
the shortcomings
they're
that people
safe or
usually
whatever.
describe this stuff with, right? They say it lacks the kind of technicalities or whatever. Is that a consequence of
I think it's a
just
direct consequence of the bass
yeah?
magnitude. Yeah.
And so in order to basically improve that, you can't have both of those things, right? Like, or it's difficult to have both of those things.
Yes, but I'm also saying like I'm not sure he should be caring about that necessarily. I'm more so just saying that like this isn't really me giving advice to Kryn. This is giving advice to the people who hear these things and then have a take on them that is using language they don't really understand, which is that they sound the way they do because of the tuning, not because they are like inferior or because it hits a neutral tuning perfectly and neutral is bad or whatever. It's more that
you want to deflate the technicalities criticism balloon here because that's just people indexing for colorations. And the big problem here is that it's being overridden.
It just doesn't have the colorations that are
It
going to
doesn't
give
have
you
the
that.
exactly. Yeah. And if you're looking for that, you're not going to find it in this kind of thing. But I mean, you could find it. It's just not with that kind of base level.
Yes, but going back to the original Blessing to Dusk,
yeah,
I felt like it had a similar issue, but it it was actually kind of still the same issue where it just had a lot of bass and didn't balance it with enough colorations elsewhere.
My issue of the Blessing to Dusk, like the original one, was, well, now that I heard it again, was more actually the mid-range, upper mids and lower treble transition.
Yeah, glare.
You get the kind of glariness to it.
Yeah, that
think
6K thing is weird.
I would actually say once again, the bass on that needs. I would actually add more bass because the bass on it's not very good. But here's my thing though. I would say a lot of IEMs. I mean, personally, my experience is that bass can look like +10 on a graph, and it doesn't sound that way in your ears.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, it's gonna depend.
I find the most interesting. The two most interesting. I feel like mids. We mostly solved mids in the sense that if you can get close to the new meta-ish mids, you're going to be pretty good. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to be pretty good. To me, it's a question of how good can you make your bass, how physical can you make your bass, and how well can you balance out the treble. For me, when I look at IEM, that's sort of the two things I look at nowadays. And when I listen to the meta, right? I like the meta, but I found that, and I quite like the physicality of its sort of sub bassy region, but it definitely need a bit more mid bass. And then of course that upper treble, I wouldn't say glare, it's just a bit too shimmery, a bit too exaggerated. That overall balance was a bit off. But the Daybreak, when I heard it recently at SIS, I thought hit everything on the mark, and it did have, a lot of that bass. I think that you're talking about, Griffin. Where
did you hear it with the coffee
tips? Have you tried
tips?
it with the new tips, by the way?
No, I didn't try the coffee tips because I hate the coffee tips. I think they are worst tips in existence, almost as bad as the Moondrop Spring tips.
Wow, because you don't like the feeling in your ear, right?
Because it feels horrible in your ear.
Okay, but that's a different reason.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I think, have you only tried the brown ones or have you tried the clear ones too?
I only tried the brown ones, but it doesn't matter, man. I just like I say, I see the IEF, put it in my ear. I use Kryn's
Kryn has them stock on Daybreak
I
now,
like
or are you
these
going
tips the
to?
most.
He just runs them tipless.
Oh, okay, got it.
These standard tips, I find them to work quite well for me on basically anything. But yeah, like when I heard the Daybreak, I thought, okay, yes, this is the level of bass that I want, right? And this is the type of bass that I want. And so, I mean, I said that I would add more bass to Crin's target, but that's in the context of some IEMs cannot do the type of bass that the Daybreak can. If you can get an IEM that can do the type of bass that Daybreak can, then I'm happy with Crin's level of bass. If that makes sense. And this is a bit of technicalities.
You
If
mean
you
like
get
in
into the
situ? You mean like in
technicalities,
situ, like you're actually when you're listening to
Yeah,
it.
like he feels
Yeah,
more
yeah,
bass.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I feel and like I said, I was just re-listening to some IEMs because I shipped a bunch back, but I re-listened to the IE900. And if you look on the graph, like the IE900's bass is, yes, it's a a definite bass shelf, but it's not like, once again, it's not like crazy like plus like 30 dB or whatever, like Fat Freaks, whatever BS.
Mhm.
But the bass like presence and physicality and stuff on it is just unbelievable. And I don't know how they did it. And sure, you can argue, yeah, it's because their pinna is very low, right? So it feels like you have
Well,
more bass.
and the 1K emphasis
Right?
plays a really significant role there.
But yeah, but to me, like something about the way its internal driver setup or whatever, was just really worked really, really well, right? And basically my long story short is that give me a new meta-ish tuning, but give me a U meta where you give me good bass, you give me good treble, and I'm happy.
So I wanted to get back to the that idea of balancing out new meta in different ways than currently we see as part of the trend, to be able to retain both the goodness of the rest of the sound signature while also having the kind of bass that people tend to like. And I think that is the challenge of whatever the next thing comes after new meta, because you're not going to tell people, like, it's going to be a difficult thing to tell people, oh yeah, you just should have less bass. Like, people like bass. They're going to hold
People
on to that.
people
So here,
think they like bass.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a challenge to, try and fix that narrative or idea, right?
I'm not
But
saying
also,
they're
like,
wrong, by the way. I'm not saying no people like bass. I'm just saying
well, but if
we have hit a kind of monocultural base level across
yeah,
all of the targets, like
yes,
Harman, Sound Guys, New Meta, whatever you want to call it. Like they all basically have the same amount
yeah,
and shape of bass. There
yes.
is very little actual imagination that is occurring when it comes
And
to this.
and
That's
oftentimes
why,
it is for the worse, and I think this is partially because it is so sub bass focused. Um, in general. But anyways,
yeah,
the point I wanted to get to was more along the lines of there are probably other ways to balance out more base level, the kind of base level, let's say, that people like, with either than just old meta as the alternative, right? Because that's kind of what you were suggesting. Like, what he could have done if he wanted more, the more base, he could just go back to old
if
meta.
you wanted
If he
that
wanted
bass
that,
to come
yeah,
across
yeah,
with
yeah.
more of the things people like about
Exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I guess my point is, like, you can do bass, like, it's not an either or here of like either you have lots of bass. So, well, his Crin's thing was, if you have that level of bass, you need to start it low enough in
Yeah,
frequency,
you need to
otherwise
move
it
the
gets
corner
muddy. Yeah.
frequency down.
So my point is, you can have the kind of bass quality that people want and the bass level that people want without making it sound muddy, also without going back to old meta, right? Like, and this is why I'm interested in stuff like the nice Rockies,
well,
because
this is my
this
point. This
is
is
the
why you
point.
need a U meta tuning. I say the
Well,
Rockies is
I
almost
don't
there.
know yet because I haven't listened to it.
You
I have it
heard
here
it?
somewhere.
Okay.
I'm saving that. But I'm
I
just
don't
saying
think you'll like
stuff
it.
like, okay. Well, anyway, stuff like that. I'm not saying, I don't think that I know the frequency response of it. I don't think that the bass profile there is the kind of bass that I'm necessarily going to like. Like, we'll see if I listen to it. But my point is more what they did with the treble response, or with the ear gain response there, might allow for additional types of bass contouring that we don't see right now in the typical new meta trend, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm not saying that's the product that does
Isn't
it.
it
I'm saying
very similar to the Mega 5
probably for the bass
for the upper
ear gain.
mid and low treble response in general?
there's more treble on the nice Kagarokis.
Yeah,
is there
yeah,
not?
but
Yeah.
it seems it's very similar to the point where like it's just a shelf up.
It's a shelf
slightly.
up. So what I'm saying is that should be explored more to see what that unlocks for potential bass contouring, so that
See?
things don't end up sounding muddy or whatever else, right?
We're validating my U meta tuning here.
Well, I
See?
don't know that I would call that a U
Andrew's
meta.
validating it.
I don't know that I would call that a U meta tuning, because again, I don't want that that like super slow sounding bass, right? I like the bass that has a more gradual kind of contour to it, but I will agree that there are limits to that kind of thing with some of the
If you want less slow
existing
bass, you
trends.
need less slow frequencies.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so here's okay.
But you
so I'm
get
gonna-
what I'm saying, right? It's not about like it's not a mutually exclusive thing, right? Like you can have, and I would
Yeah.
not say this is U meta, because again,
Yeah,
what I'm
no,
advocating for is not specifically that kind of thing. I'm advocating for finding different ways to change the bass contour so you can have your cake and eat it too,
Oh,
Yeah,
right?
and sure. I was also just going to say the amounts and types of tilt are also just being underexplored in general.
Sure, that yes, but
Yes.
also that's just in one spot. Like we're playing with effectively one filter here, and that's not enough to be able to yeah, do things with bass that people are going to want, right? So and preserve the rest of the goodness of that tuning.
Yeah. So I actually had, so just a quick note on the Rockies. Crin and I, his wife Timmy, and I had dinner with the
You made
Rockies.
it sound like Timmy's his wife.
No, Timmy's my wife. No.
There you go.
We had dinner with the Rockies owner, actually, or
Oh, okay.
vice president or something like that. And I actually asked him this question, like, is the Rockies just like the Mega 5? Like you guys just like took it like I didn't say it that directly, but like, you know, I kind of got around to something like that, right? And he said no, they actually have their own engineer who did their own thing, and that's kind of what it came up with. Now, a bit of insight I did learn is that there's only a few driver types that give you sort of that natural response that the like that new meta-ish mid-range that the Mega 5 has. So a lot of IEMs that are using that, they're going for that similar style, are probably using the same-ish drivers in that region, right? I would say, so here's my question. Do you think there's another quote unquote new meta that's going to come out beyond what we currently have? Because previously
Of course.
we have so and the reason I say that is because if you ask what makes a target curve, right? Just in general, what makes a target curve? It's add a bit of bass and make sure you got some level of pinna gain, right? And that's
Some
that.
HRTF,
Yeah, same HRTF. And that
The
has
thing is, the new meta is more specific than that.
no, I
to
know,
its
I know,
detriment.
I know. And Harman is also more specific than that, right? But
Also
my
to its
point is
detriment.
that a lot of people will say, I'll add a bit of bass, or a lot of people will look at a little bit of bass, they'll look at a little bit of pinna gain, and they'll say, this hits whatever target I want to call it, when it doesn't, right? Like, and that's, you have this abuse of marketing material that's, oh my God, this is Harman, but it's actually not Harman.
And then
or
the
it's not
bigger
new meta.
problem, or the related the consequent problem of that is, because music is a thing that people like, they're not going to scrutinize this nearly as hard as they should, right? Like they're just going to listen to it and be like, oh yeah, my music now has bass and I like that. Yum. You know, validating this kind of approach.
So would you say that it should be negative bass then? Like, would you say you'd go even lower bass?
No, I think just different contours, right? Like I think you can have.
Yeah.
I think I would suspect that new meta, whatever the next thing is
New
a
meta.
trend away from this.
No.
Focusing the sound more towards this.
You mean an N-shaped curve? Is what you're trying to say. N-shaped curve.
Not N shape. I mean,
but
there's no reason to
moving away from this
off of
doesn't mean less bass overall. It just means better quality bass and better quality treble to go with the good quality mids.
I feel like we need to go a step further than even that, and like stop focusing on like nebulous terms like quality, and start focusing on like
but we know
attention given to all aspects of music.
you know exactly what I'm talking about, though. You know exactly what the change to the bass is needed to make it sound not stupid, right?
Yeah, I
with,
mean,
and so it's like,
it's honestly just removing any distinct like shelf shape to
yeah,
it, which
100%.
again,
It's
people have
exactly that.
inculcated this idea that that's what it's supposed to
Yeah.
do. But
And we are so allergic to, we're, and I hate to give Griffin props here because again he loves Mud5, but like we're so allergic to this that band in the upper bass low mid because the risk has been, if you overdo it,
I
you
mean,
make things
I
sound
sent you that
non-audiophile.
that
You
meme
know?
that someone unhinged on Discord made, right? Where it's like Sean Olive putting a brace or like a brainwashing helmet on someone, and they
Yeah.
have
I
like
know.
swirl eyes, and they're like, bass is
Yeah.
bleeding into the mids, bass is bleeding into the
Yeah.
mids, and then you see music enjoyers behind a window pounding to get in,
Yeah.
trying to save them.
And here's the thing,
Um,
right? Like I've used that kind of language to describe it when something is bad because there was back then such a trend for headphones in particular, for just this like Sony bass, right? Like the XM4 bass, right? Or the bass that was just like, you know, it's a shelf that starts at like 500 hertz, you know? And that really was a problem, right? So then it's like that there's an overcorrection for that by these really distinct bass shelves that go sub bass focused, you know, below 100 hertz, also for Harman reasons. That now, you know, there's it's created the inverse problem. And
Inverse
and
as in-
we need to find a kind of like I think a happy medium. But I think the start to solving this problem is exactly what you said, Griffin, which is moving away from the shelf function.
I think it's moving away from the idea of
That a shelf is, yeah.
no, it's moving away from
No?
the idea of aspects of the music having or aspects of the transducer having its own qualities that are desirable. I
Oh
think
yeah, of course that goes without saying. But I mean, as far as the tuning
it
is
doesn't go
concerned,
without saying though. That's the way most people think about this stuff.
for
Like
us and for people, well, actually, I don't know for people here, but for us, it goes without saying.
it's
Not
not
for
even a
me.
move towards warmth, Gumi.
No,
It's not a
I
move towards
kind of
mud
do.
or anything like that. It doesn't have to be. It can be very
Well,
shallow tilts of
it's
this
for the same reason.
function. Like it doesn't have to be warm. It just
A
shouldn't be this thing
shallower tilt. Yeah,
where you're indexing for a specific part of anything.
changing the knee or whatever that thing is called.
Slope.
Yeah. So actually, it's the reason why I should have picked up on this when we were doing our little EQ challenge. But doing it with a peak filter rather than a shelf filter for a bass lift, that's telling enough, because that's like, yeah, that's the kind of bass that I would prefer. Something that has a peak filter really low down in frequency that's really wide in Q is better than, you know, oh, you'd see it this way. You know? What was it?
So why? I guess my question is why just the overall tilt? Because the research has
Oh, it's not just the overall tilt.
I
You
don't
can
think
do
you yeah, I
two.
don't think
there's a lack of imagination
Two
across
knobs,
the
right?
board, is what I was saying.
I would say you should do 3 knobs: bass, mids, then treble, right? So you can bring down, add in, or remove how much bass shelf you want, add in, or
Well,
how much peak.
I think the problem there is, like, as soon as you start doing stuff like that, it like imposes a kind of it poses that specific granularity on people, when the overall range of possible adjustment for what people would end up actually liking is probably greater than that. And so an example of this might be, even if you gave people a peak filter in the bass rather than a shelf, that you would then also need to give them a Q value, and to find out what the preference it would end up, what people would actually like for bass level, at 20 hertz relative to 100 hertz relative to 300 hertz, right? Versus right now it'd be like, okay, here's the shelf function. Let's see how much bass you like for that shelf function. So I don't think. Wait, what is Joel saying here?
Oh, it's just
No, he's
that
just saying a
same
very
thing.
low frequency, low Q peak is the same as a very low frequency, low Q shelf.
Low Q shelf, yes, but you would to change the
That's
knee
not the shelf most
function.
people are using, is I think.
Yeah,
what you're
exactly. Yeah.
saying.
Well, but also if you look at the common trends for the narratives around this stuff, it's like, I like lots of sub bass.
It's bass homogeneity with a Harman
Yeah.
shelf.
Yeah.
Even in the non-Harman targets is basically a
Exactly.
Harman shelf.
Exactly. So yeah,
But
to Joel's
I
point, like,
would-
you can do this in different ways. It's just people aren't going to be as likely to with the traditional shelf.
I mean, I don't think that you know, I think saying that yes, I like that sub bass. I think that's totally valid. I don't think they're actually wrong about that. I think in fact, it should just go one step further. And to your point, Andrew, there can be a lot more contouring of how the sub bass shelf is done, how it
Yeah.
enters the mid range, and how that mid range transitions into sorry, how it enters the mid bass and how that mid bass transitions into the lower mids, right? I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of work that can be done there, and we just haven't seen it because, well, one, it may or may not be an engineering challenge. Like I don't even know if it's possible to contour it in the way that I have contoured it in some of the testing that I've done. But the other is it's possible that people don't don't understand or don't haven't thought too deeply about that type of granularity, because the types of EQs that have been done, like most people who EQ right now are either auto EQing, right?
Hmm.
Or they think, oh yes, I like more bass, so I just add more bass. And it's very like, but I personally, I think EQing needs to be done on an instrument level, right? You think, oh, what do I want out of an instrument? And obviously this is a problem for different music when you have so much
Hmm.
different music going on, but that forces you to think about it in specific
Okay.
manner.
Josh says contouring bass is pretty easy, but I actually think that it's not given enough attention. Like the granularity with which bass contouring could be looked at is not really all that considered. It's more just like, does it have the level of bass that I like? Um, and if it does, then it's fine. If it doesn't, give it more. Is usually the outcome. But I say this also because like I've had conversations with manufacturers where they're resistant to contouring the bass, not because they can't do it. They can do it. I've seen them do it,
Just like the
but
treble.
because they think that's what people don't. They think people won't like that. They think people will that are scoring more favorably for sub bass because they're attaching this idea to subwoofers or whatever else. And this is also something. I mean, even Crin, we've put out videos where it's like this IEM has a subwoofer. It's like there is that kind of thing that's going to speak to the masses. Um,
Let's get a bit specific, right? Like when you say sub bass, like are you talking only below 100 hertz and then you have a dip around 200, or what are we talking about when you refer to sub bass?
sorry, say that again.
Like because we've been talking a lot about like contouring the
Yeah.
bass and how people like sub bass and the shelf, right? But there's a lot of different ways in that is it's how it's currently reflected at the moment, right? Like some is like, I would say most IEMs are, the shelf starts around 200, right?
Um,
It doesn't
yeah.
look like that. It doesn't look like that because we compensate to -1, right? Because of the compensation, it doesn't kind of
No,
look like
it
that
still shows
shelf
up
in
as what you're talking about
tradition.
most times.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, but some IEMs,
Well,
like there are less IEMs that are only boosting sub 100. More of them are boosting more like the
more,
200.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know what you mean. So again, the issue for me is less about the amount of bass and necessarily even the frequency at which it starts, but the shape of the boost. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I
Oh,
think it's
I
about
fully
all of the
agree, and
factors.
that's what I
I
mean.
mean,
I
it
think
could be all the factors too, but like, so okay, the ones that I'm thinking about right now, there's a bit of a confounding issue as well with 4620 and 5128 data, where the rocking mode kind of obscures where the bottom of the lowest point of uh, I guess where the bass starts. Because you sort of like when you look at that, you kind of like glaze over the fact that there's a rocking mode there because you know the rocking mode's not real.
mhm.
But perceptually, if you there are situations where if you listen to certain types of music like rock and stuff like that, where it doesn't have a lot of like really low sub frequency content, it actually sounds pretty lean on these products. If you listen to EDM, then suddenly there's tons of bass. And so, to me at least, this indicates that the rocking mode obscurity is actually a situation of there just being less bass there in situ, or like the lower point of where the rocking mode shows up. is more reflective of what's actually going on with it in your ear.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's like that on everybody, but that's just what I've noticed perceptually for some of these units. So what that means is that perceptually, for IEMs that might look like they measure like they have a bass lift at around 150 hertz, say for example, they actually have a bass lift that's closer to like 80 hertz. Yeah, perceptually.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying it
I-
looks like it's at 150
Because of the
but-
rocking mode, where the positive feature in the
Oh, so
rocking
you're-
mode is,
Got
it looks like that's where the bass boost would start, but it's actually much lower than that because of the, like, you know what a rocking mode looks like,
So
right?
do
There's
you,
like a
do you
drop
have
off.
examples of that? Because I feel like the
I have an example, but I
rocking
can't talk
mode.
about it.
Okay,
Oh,
because
of
I
a
feel
rocking
like
mode?
of what we're talking about. Because from what I've seen, typically the rocking mode's more around the lines of 200, 300 hertz, not so much the.
Oh, well, it can happen
It can be,
lower.
but you
It
can
depends
put it
on
like,
the
yeah.
weight of the IEM and the surface tension.
Yeah. But I mean,
down,
like for most of the graphs that I've seen, a lot of them, it's the maybe it's because I like looking in them in raw as well. Because when you compensate, it definitely does look more like the shelf starts lower. But it once again, I still feel like a lot of IEMs, the shelf starts closer to 200, and that's where you kind of get that.
It might be, but my point is more that when you see a rocking mode, this is, again, it was a thing for me that because you know the rocking mode's not real, you mentally approximate what you think it should probably
your mental
be.
approximation is probably closer to the actual behavior of the IEM. Like I
I
don't
just
think
ruled
I
it
don't
out.
think
Well,
what
I don't
you're
think it
talking
is.
about
No, I don't think it is. It probably depends on the IEM. Like I've been mentally approximating this until it was only recently when I was like, whoa, and then I started doing those manual sweeps. And I was like, actually, because for this particular product that I was listening to, there was a really distinct sub bass lift, and then it had the rocking mode, and I'd sort of approximated in my mind where the bass level would be, in situ when you're actually wearing it. To then discover that perceptually that bass lift with a manual tone gen sweep, it actually started way lower in frequency, and the rocking mode was closer to the bottom of the rocking mode, not the top, like a lot
but
closer to the bottom.
What I'm saying is the difference between your impression and the graph could have nothing to do with the rocking mode at all.
What do you mean?
Like it could just be that your ear impedance is different enough that, like,
Totally, yeah. So
whatever
it
is
could
happening
be,
here is
for
just the
sure.
shelf is differently shaped
Yeah.
in your ear. Like
For sure. But
that's something I actually conjecture happens with Crane in the opposite direction.
I think he has more bass based on the
more
rock.
low mid
Yeah.
than is displayed on the graph. But
this is counter to your
something
narrative
we
that I
can
hate low
characterize
mids.
fairly simply, and it wouldn't have anything to do with the rocking mode.
Okay. Sorry guys, I do have to run. But
Okay.
but maybe let's end there. My final piece is that I think the U meta tuning is coming. I think it will be the best.
The
I
U
will do
meta.
everything in my power to
U
fight
meta
this
tuning.
happening.
I just want
in
this to go
actuality,
away.
I do think any new
It's not gonna be like
version
this.
of this that is not what we have now.
Oh, Caleb froze.
Yeah, my camera literally just died. So
Oh.
It looks like he's just pointing at us, Andrew.
You guys.
Oh no, it went away.
Yeah, but no, that's I think we're actually mostly aligned on where we want things to go. Mostly.
Maybe Caleb
Mostly.
seems to be indexing for a coloration. That's fun. I think I'm going the opposite direction, but
no, I mean you and I are probably indexing for similar. We want. When I say I want
funny.
this to go
You know,
away.
I do think there's an element to this that is interesting in that myself and Precog and Clinical, I think all have very similar types of preferences and hearing, like the way we like things. While you guys, and I think probably DMS and Cameron are different. I feel like Mark Ryan lands a little bit more closer to myself and Precog and Crin. And maybe there's something about people who fall within the headphone versus IEM camp, and it's just the way their brains are wired. I don't know, but
the way their brains are wired. Damn,
it's true.
Caleb bringing eugenics into the discussion.
Hey, wait until I talk about epigenetics. Have you heard about epigenetics?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but actually, just I feel like for myself though, my impressions have changed over time, and the kinds of things that I look for, right?
Yeah.
Like I think in the past, having the idea of a distinct bass shelf would have sounded great because hey, it doesn't bleed into the mids, yay! But now I'm like, okay, but as much as fine, I hate lower mids, I still prefer not that shape to the bass boost.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thanks guys. I gotta run. Sorry. Bye-bye.
Later, bud.
Bye. We should probably also end this stream.
Yeah, you don't want to do spicy hour or anything like that?
We've been 3 hours. We'll do spicy hour the next one.
All right.
Sorry guys, I'm really hungry.
I'm pretty hungry too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the Razer Kraken for anybody who is unaware of what this is. Like,
Wait,
no
why are you
reaction.
wearing that's not a Razer Kraken?
I'm just seeing what would happen if I just say nonsense things. All right. And with that, it's time to end. I want a big shout out to headphones.com for making these streams possible. If you want to see our video content, that's over on the Headphone Show, obviously. For I think that's for most folks, get this stuff. And yeah, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of the noise floor stuff, if that's what you're interested in. And we'll hopefully have some more guests on the noise floor. It was great to have Caleb. Follow his written article.
I want to have him back. That was
a
lot of fun.
Yeah, let's get his written. Check out his written articles up on headphones.com, the audio file section there, and check out his shorts. He did a really fun one where he asked people at the audio show in Shenzhen if they listen to Hotel California. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and there's Hi-Fi Man HE600 impressions on the main channel from Caleb as well. Okay.
Okay, bye.